bikes, left and right, survive the night. Easy peasy. Lord of the mushrooms, king of the rats, is now the great papaya. Mega Mogwai swim stream, and the others are nothing. Nothing to. Nothing to the king of mushrooms, secret king of rats, the great papaya. Grappler. Subscribe to Grappler. Is too big for him. Top decks like a god. Swing for the fences. Breaking bikes, left and right, survive the night. Easy peasy. Lord of the mushrooms, king of the rats, is now the great papaya. Mega Mogwai swim stream, and the others are nothing to. Nothing to the king of mushrooms, secret king of rats, the great papaya. Grappler. Subscribe to Grappler. Is too big for him. Top decks like a god. Swing for the fences. Breaking bikes, left and right, survive the night. Easy peasy. Lord of the mushrooms, king of the rats, is now the great papaya. Mega Mogwai swim stream, and the others are nothing to. Nothing to the king of mushrooms, secret king of rats, the great papaya. Grappler. Subscribe to Grappler.
What is up, guys? We are live, and it is finally the weekend. Happy Saturday, everybody. Hope you all are having a good start to the weekend, indeed. And welcome here, Dubby God and Yasase, first in chat. Tams, hello as well. Nice to have you on here, Tams. 1 week left, indeed. That is right, Yang. 1 week to go. Coffee's still a little bit hot. I'm going to wait a second. Dude, I woke up today so damn heavy. I don't know what happened. So I had a lot of, I had some ground beef. How dare you, Yasase? I had some ground beef with a lot of like white rice. And bro, I woke up heavy today. Can you tell on my face? I'm just like, I don't know if I'm bloated or, but I woke up way heavier than usual. Like almost like 5-6 pounds heavier than yesterday. It's weird. It's Steam sale. Did you buy anything? Didn't find anything interesting. Nope. I didn't even know it was Steam sale. Did you mix too much fat in the ground beef? Fat never does that to me. I get that if I eat a lot of carbs. I had a lot of rice. I think the rice did it mainly. So yeah, I'm not feeling bloated in the stomach. I'm feeling like bulky in my body. Like everything just like inflated, you know? My upper body inflated. So yeah, sup Grappy, what's up? Still Cole, how you doing? Not on keto? No, I haven't been on keto for a while, Tams. I'm bulking. You can't tell? Chat, you can't tell I'm bulking? I'm trying to put on as much weight as, not as much weight as possible, but I'm trying to build as much muscle as possible in the first 4 months of back in the gym so that I can do a good cut in the last 2 months. Thought you were cutting? No, Tams. I'm bulking, bro. I've been bulking for a month and a half now. I went from like, I've put on maybe like 11 pounds in the last month and a half. So yeah, it's been a process. Can't tell I'm getting a double chin right here. Look at that. What is that, bro? It's yeah. I'm gonna start getting more and more rounded out so I can do a proper cut afterwards. Not a dirty bulk now. I'm not doing a dirty bulk. Pretty clean, but still eating a lot of food. So the plan is to cut in about 2.5 months from now. I'm going to start cutting. I'm so hyped for POE2. I watched your every VOD since you started covering it. Finally caught you live. Yo, what's up, Sumo? Yeah, I'm hyped as well, man. I think POE2 is going to be great. This is going to be a lot of fun. Also, all my lifts are going up. My bench press is going up. My deadlift's going up. Man, it feels good to be back in the gym. Working out hard, 2 hours every day, grinding, and just recovering strength that I lost back in the day. Feels really, really good. I'm excited. I'm excited to see where we're going to get. I think we're going to do pretty well in the gym. I think by the end of the 6 months, I should have like, hopefully, at least a 125, 130 kg bench press. I'm hoping at the end of 6 months. I don't think I'm going to get back to 145 anytime soon, but I think I can get to 130. I tried watching it. I was lost. It was weird words, CI, chaos inoculation, mana something. I was lost. Yeah, you need to play a little bit to get used to the terms. Like in POE1, if you played it, you will know what I'm talking about. But without that, it can be a little bit tough. 130 bench. I'm trying to get back to 130. Right now, if I had to guess what my max would be, it would be like 110, 115, somewhere around there, probably. But yeah, it's going to keep going up pretty fast. We're just recovering strength. We're not gaining strength. Why so little? You look a lot bigger. How much do you think I should be able to bench still? Keep in mind, I don't have very strong pecs. I have pretty strong arms. So my bench is very arm dominant. You're 145 and you bench 245. Okay, you're talking about pounds, right? Yeah, it has to be pounds. I'm talking kg. So I want to get back to like 130 plus. 130 would be 280, 286 approximately. I want to get back to like 286. And my best was 145, which is about 319. But yeah, man, there's something magical. So whenever you bulk up, you start to look worse physically, but you feel so damn good in the gym. Like every session, you're a bit stronger. It's addictive. 1% of men can bench their body weight. That is crazy. Yeah, it is. I can bench my body weight for reps. Not a crazy amount of reps though, because I woke up today 97.7 kg. That's great. I haven't been that weight for quite a bit. So I might actually bulk all the way to like 100 kg, like 220 pounds, and then do a pretty strong cut afterwards. We'll see. But yeah, I'm new to Ranger leveling and saw one of your comments. What interrupts do you have on AoC? None. None whatsoever. There's a lot of access to slows and roots. So you can root people from walking, you can slow them from walking, but there is no interrupts. There is an interrupt called silence, but unfortunately, we don't have access to it. It's bugged, so you need to fix the bug first before we can silence people. And the cast time is actually significant when you're silencing, because it's your thunder arrow that silences, and first of all, you have to charge it up, then it has to actually land as a projectile, so it's kind of slow. Saw you comment on Minotaur spinning. Yeah, I'm saying you silence it as in people in your group. Tank can silence that. Sorry, Tank can interrupt it. Bard can interrupt it. But Ranger can't. The Ranger's job is not to interrupt. The Ranger's job is to do as much AoE damage as possible. And you can help, for example, if you want to be more technical, you can help keep them really tight in a group. Like the moment you see them really group up, drop your vines, right? Get them really stuck together. Because the tighter they are, the more people can do AoE damage and clear them faster. Oh, delicious. But yeah, we're going to be talking about PoE first. We're going to see if there's any PoE content to cover. I don't know if anything new came out over the last, 14 hours. Also, I went to bed late because I finally downloaded a damn game that has been advertised to me on YouTube for the last, like, a year and a half. Every day I hear the same advertisement. The Tower. A relaxing tower defense game. Blah, 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 blah. Bro! Eventually, my brain gave out, said, final download it. And then I started playing it, and I went to bed late because I was playing it. Monkey game now. But yeah, slowly but surely, gym is going good. So you can see, like, my pecs are not there. Like, I have normal size pecs. Like, my pecs are small. But look at my arm size, chat. We're putting on size in the arms. So arms are growing pretty damn well for the bench. You can still see they're kind of fatty arms. They're not defined yet. So it's going to take quite a few more months to add more size, and hopefully I can start doing biceps soon. I'm waiting for this injury to pass. But once I can start doing biceps, we're gonna look pretty good. You don't have ad block? Not on my phone, unfortunately. No. Imam, hello to you, friend. How are you doing? Welcome to the stream. All right. So even though we're a little bit sleep deprived, that doesn't matter. At this point, I'm getting used to it, which I shouldn't. It's a bad idea, but we're getting kind of used to it. Do you do leg presses? No. On my leg day, I do... I'll tell you right now, actually. Bulking the holiday season, yes. I'll tell you right now what I do on my leg day. So, I have one dedicated leg day. Wait, what do you mean, welcome to Sheets? Huh? Okay, we're good. We have one dedicated leg day per week, and 2 dedicated deadlift days, which also have legs. So, on my main leg day, I do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I do 9 sets of squats. And I do then 8 sets of deadlifts on my dedicated leg day. Sumo deadlifts, specifically. Then, on my dedicated deadlift day, I do 9 sets of deadlifts and 8 sets of squats. And then, on my easy deadlift day, I do 8 sets of deadlifts and 6 sets of squats. So that's mostly the days I do lower body. On my dedicated bench press day, I do 9 sets of bench and 8 sets of close grip bench, which is 17 sets of bench, basically. On my dedicated overhead press day, 9 sets of overhead press and 8 sets of incline bench. And on my last bench press day, 9 sets of bench and 8 sets of overhead press. So that's 6 days a week. And those are all my compounds. After that, I do usually like 3 isolation exercises. So like yesterday, it was my dedicated bench and then close grip bench. I did some dips. I did some tricep pull downs, and that was it. I found that to be enough. 3 sets of each. On my leg day, I do usually leg extensions and then leg curls. On my deadlift days, I like to do heavy trap work, like shrugs. And I can't do anything related to upper back, like lats and stuff, because my arm is still injured, so I can't do pull-ups very well. I would like to do weighted pull-ups, but whatever. Will they add the Rogue on December 20th? No, it's going to be a little bit later. They are hoping they get Rogue in by January, but they've said they're not ready for the December 20th launch of Phase 2, unfortunately. So not quite yet. Going to be a little bit delayed. Hello, Twardy, by the way. Nice to have you on here. Yeah, there's a delay to the Rogue. It's unfortunate. But they gave us that news already weeks ago, right? Like a month or 2 ago, I think. Yeah, I love my current workout program. It's so damn good. My Jeminef, what's up, brother? Thank you very much for your good morning, and welcome to the stream. Baron Trump is 6'11" and he's skinny. You should train him. There's better people to train Baron Trump. 36 ascendancy classes to utilize. 3 for each base class. Yeah, it's going to be crazy, dude. I'm very excited. And Sakurai, tier 1 sub, my dude. Your first ever sub on my stream. Thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate that, dude. You're the GOAT. Thank you very much. Cheers, friend. You got a tournament in 3 hours? What kind of tournament? Is this the first time you play POE2? Nobody's played POE2 yet. What do you mean it's going to be everyone's first time? BJJ, yo. 3 hours from now. All right. Hit me real fast exactly what you plan to do to every single person. Because I always have a plan. Pull guard and triangle. And the triangle fails, I'll close guard, I'll go for collar chokes, I'll go for... I always have a plan, but what is your plan? What is your... This is how I'm going to dominate my opponent. Do you have one? It's hard to balance. I mean, it is what it is. First of all, POE1 was never balanced, right? There was always stronger builds and memeier builds. For the longest time, Detonate Dead was OP. Like, it's fine. It's fine for there to be certain builds stronger than others. Let you know there is a Q&A in Korea right now for POE2. Yo. It's good to know. Pull guard into either half guard, into sweeps, or butterfly, into single leg and ankle locks. So you're going to either pull half guard or pull butterfly guard? Okay. All right. Interesting. Very few people pull half guard or butterfly guard. Try to get there. All right. Fair enough. If you know how to single leg, why don't you shoot for a single? Worst case scenario, you fall on your back and you end up in half guard. Did you see the video that goes over all the keystones on the passive tree? I think it's Dreamcore's new video. Well, I've looked over all of the keystones. Wait. 1 second. A keystone is like mind over matter and like, for example, chaos inoculation, right? If that's what we're talking about, I think I've covered them all. They're not, yeah, the other ones are notable nodes. My bad. I was just thinking of terms. Yeah. I've gone over them, I think. I've looked at all of them. Unless there are new ones that came out, because I went over all the ones that were on the POE2 database. I can't check out Dreamcore's new video, though. That's a good idea. Let me just finish my coffee. We can go for that. Those words again. Yep. There it is, Tams. Don't worry. If you play Path of Exile, you'll get used to it. What time is it by you? It is currently 2:39 a.m. in the morning. How exactly does the cross-class skills work? They have stated long as you have stats, but is it not the weapon also a requirement? Yeah, weapons are requirements, it seems, for quite a few skills. So you need to have the right weapon to use the right skill. But do keep in mind, you can also swap weapons in Path of Exile too. You can have 2 sets of weapons, right? So like if you want a certain skill that can only be used by maces, you can have a setup where that skill automatically swaps to the mace when you cast it. You just got to keep in mind that when that happens, your other weapons, they get unswapped and whatever attributes they were giving you can get lost. So you have to be very careful how you itemize in that sense. I don't think there's any new ones there, but he has all of them in one video. We can look at the video. So there's been no big leaks, no big data mines. Nothing has come to, like, I don't know, ascendancy class points. Damn, man, we're getting so close. I'm surprised nothing has really dropped. I wonder when they're going to drop it. Also, speaking of Baron Trump 6'11", that's insane, dude. He's a tall dude. 6'11". I wish I was 6'11", dude. That would be pretty sick. Tower over people. Look down on them. Hello, peasants. Must be interesting being that tall. As long as you have a good frame, though. It's kind of scuffed if you're, like, really wrangly and not proportional, but if you have a really good frame, it's really cool. Who's a good example of that? Like Kobe, no, not Kobe Bryant. I was thinking of someone else. Who's the really great basketball player right now? Who's very proportional as well. Like one of the best of all time at the moment. LeBron James, yeah. Like LeBron James, the guy's proportional as hell. He's really tall too. He's got a great build. That's an imposing man. Steph Curry. Yeah, but Steph Curry is not intimidating. You would look like an Irish hound? What do you mean? Oh, at a higher height, you mean? Why? Jokic? Oh. How do you pronounce his name? Is it Jokic? I feel like it should be Jokic, unless he has an Americanized pronunciation. Great player, worst build. I mean, there comes a point where your body is growing and your body's like, hey, we're past like the 6'3", 6'4" mark. We don't really know what to do anymore, so we're just gonna randomly elongate certain things. Yeah, let's make his legs bigger, and we can maybe make his fingers bigger. You know, the body kind of gives up at proportions at that point. It's kind of strange, but some people don't follow that rule. Some people really grow proportionally all the way. The only downside to being that tall is life expectancy is quite a bit shorter for people that high up in the air. Maybe the air is thinner up there. Maybe it affects them. But yeah, being very tall, it does give you a lower life expectancy. People live longer when they're short. Like people who are like 5'4", 5'5" generally live longer. People that are 6 foot plus. So heart maybe is working overtime. Yeah, that can be one factor. It can be other factors such as maybe you're just growing more tissue all the time, so there's just more overall accumulated stress. It could be that your body's creating more things that end up like, I don't know. It's hard to say. Irish Hounds are the biggest dog breed. They have disproportionate limbs. Check them out. They're pretty cool. I think I know what dog we're talking about here. Are they really the biggest, though? Because there's some really big, like, there's that Mullamat or something that's really damn big as well. There's, Mastiffs can be very heavy. They're not necessarily the biggest, but they can be, like, very heavy. There was a time I was thinking what kind of dog would be the coolest to own. So I think some of the coolest dogs to own are, what is the name of the dog? I think you find them in Argentina. They're used for hunting. I think it's Argentinian something. They can be fully white as well, and they look badass. I looked at that one for quite a bit. No, I would just get the wolf and wait for it to kill me. A wolf? The wolf wouldn't kill you necessarily. As long as, like, here's the thing. Like, with most animals, some animals are a lot harder to raise properly than others, and if you don't have the time or the patience or the knowledge, you'd probably screw up and probably get hurt. But under the right conditions, you could definitely raise a wolf, or at least most wolves. Herd eating red meat was also shown to correlate with lower lifespan, but I don't think I'd give that up to live longer. Yeah, I'm relatively sure those studies are very much bullshit. So the problem with, like, there's a lot of studies correlating red meat intake to all-cause mortality. This is true. But these are almost exclusively Western studies. And if you look at, for example, Eastern studies, there's actually an inverse correlation. In Eastern, like certain Eastern populations in Asia, red meat consumption is linked to higher life rate and lower all-cause mortality. And there's more than one reason for this. Number one, I would say, in Western culture, people are told that red meat is bad for you. And generally what happens is people who are very health conscious eat less red meat. So people who exercise, people who don't eat processed foods, they also eat less red meat. And those people attribute to the longer lifespan and are part of the study. Whereas people who couldn't give a crap about their health, who smoke or obese, they also don't follow those guidelines, so they end up eating more red meat. So that's one thing. That's selection bias, basically, I think you would call it, because that's what you're told. Whereas in some Eastern countries, red meat is considered something of a health food. Like, it's expensive, and if you can afford it, you should get it. So yeah, different cultures, that affects it. Secondarily, what they categorize as red meat in those studies is ridiculous. Almost all of those studies, when you look at red meat, they consider things like lasagna. Oh, lasagna is red meat. Yep, so people who eat a lot of lasagna are categorized as having higher all-cause mortality due to eating red meat. They consider things like hot dogs. They consider things like, yeah, so there's a lot of bullshit in this, right? There's a lot of BS in what is categorized as red meat in those studies. And last but not least, if you think about Western audiences as well, and like burgers, like when you think about hamburgers, what percentage of the population who eats a hamburger doesn't also have fries and a milkshake along with it, or a soda, right? Like, what is paired with hamburgers or red meat in Western society. Nobody just has a hamburger. They have some fries on the side, which are usually just deep fried in like really old vegetable oils, and they're having their milkshake along with it, and they're having like, come on, dude. So yeah, they're very much bullshit in terms of design, and it's fun to look at studies that are from other cultures, like Eastern Asian cultures. They just showed the opposite. And so it's hard to say, like, I don't necessarily think like red meat is this thing that's going to give you 10 plus years of longevity. I think red meat is a healthy food, but I don't think it's so healthy that if you eat a lot of it, you're going to exponentially live longer. Like, it's just healthy, I think. There are certain countries that have ridiculous red meat consumption. Their average lifespan is very high. What are some examples? I think, like, for example, I think, is it South Korea or Singapore that has one of the highest per capita red meat intakes in the world? And they also have one of the longest lifespans in the world. I don't know. But yeah, those are my points. Mr. Baldman, your based take on LoR dying was used in this video. All right, chat. I'm going to watch this video because it mentions me and I like to be mentioned. I like to see myself talk.
In the foot.
What is this? Let's see it. Let's see it, chat. Did you timestamp it properly, or do I have to watch it from the beginning? What happened to Legends of Runeterra Riot failed card game? Oh my god, here's my base take. Let's see it. Do we want to watch the whole thing? Let's watch the whole thing. Screw it. I'm down. Let me set the game to Legends of Runeterra. Holy crap. Set game Legends of Runeterra. Oh my god, chat, we're streaming Legends of Runeterra. Holy crap! It's happening. Anyway, first time streaming LoR. Holy smokes. How did that happen? Where did I find this? What happened? Okay, this one, right? All right. Here we go. So loud.
League of Legends is a MOBA loved around the world. Riot Games has given the game incredible dev support, art direction, and unique characters. So how about a spin-off? A card game with your favorite champions, cheap to get into, and with lore to support League's Runeterra world. It happened, and it's called Legends of Runeterra, a game that technically did everything right, but still failed. This is how Legends of Runeterra became Riot Games' biggest failure.
So before Hearthstone even came out, I knew that Riot Games was making a card game. The codename for the game was Bacon. My name is Travis Gafford. I have been covering esports and Riot Games.
Wait, LoR was called Bacon? That's insane.
Games for the past, I guess, 13 years now. And I am
Bro, why were the two games I decided to know life, Artifact and Legends of Runeterra, both epic failures and the biggest failures of their respective companies? I don't get it. I joined Artifact as my first main game to stream, and it was Valve's biggest failure of a game. Now I joined Legends of Runeterra, and it was Riot's biggest failure of a game. What am I doing wrong, chat? How can I choose so badly?
an avid card game player. I've played many TCGs over the years, mostly digital. But what happened was that Riot Games, as they were growing, as League was requiring more resources, and as they just were trying to figure out how to release another game, and I think chasing this obsession with, well, whatever game we need to come out with next also needs to be, you know, genre defining, the same way that League of Legends was. I think it really slowed down the development on this game, and it took them, I don't know, I mean, I heard about it in 2013 or 2012 maybe even. When this released in 2020, I guess it had been probably 8 or so years of
8 years of development for LoR? I can't believe it.
development that at least I was aware of. And during that time, Hearthstone released.
Some have speculated that Riot wanted to wait out Hearthstone's momentum and learn from Blizzard's entry into TCGs. But it seems like they waited too long. By the time that they eventually released the game, it seemed like people were either tired of the genre or already too invested into a card game to switch. If you've put hundreds of dollars and hours learning the meta and building your collection in Hearthstone, Shadowverse, or MTG Arena, you wouldn't have much incentive to swap over to a brand new game.
And I think by the time Legends of Runeterra came out, a lot of people, including folks like myself, were already kind of burnt out on this type of experience. It's similar to the World of Warcraft situation, where it's very difficult for other MMOs to succeed in the space because WoW just has such a huge head start that anything that comes out.
I should have been a Fortnite streamer. Or I kid you not, I streamed Fortnite before it was popular. I was one of the OG Fortnite streamers, chat. I'm not even kidding. I had my 15 viewers before anybody had any viewers. That was back when PUBG was the big game and like Fortnite was just starting, man. I was a Fortnite streamer. I'm not even kidding. I did stream Fortnite when it first came out, before the hype.
But later, you're kind of like, well, why would I play this over WoW? Or I've already played enough WoW, I don't really feel like I want to play another MMO.
With all that being said, Riot seemed to be up for the challenge and was prepared to invest heavily into the game, even launching a high-production cinematic, produced by the French studio Unit Image, the same team behind League of Legends' The Call and the Baldur's Gate 3 intro. The trailer looks like a series of oil paintings, and while it featured no
really
gameplay, it set the tone for what Legends of Runeterra was going to be, a serious card game with a ton of support backing it. Legends of Runeterra was, and still is, a lore lover's dream. The game includes all 10 major regions in the League of Legends world, and each of these regions include all the recognizable champions from the MOBA. More interestingly though, these would also include a whole bunch of new characters never before seen that you get to play with. This was a huge deal for fans of League lore who wanted to dig into the world of the game further. The abilities of champions old and new.
Man, it's so crazy that I know every one of these cards. Like, my brain has literally grown around this game. There's nothing here I don't recognize.
Would reflect their MOBA counterparts. So even if you had a cursory knowledge of League, you could still appreciate the consistency between games. All of this was presented through incredibly smooth animations, beautiful expandable art for every card, and attractive cosmetics as in-game purchases. Speaking of, all of the in-game purchases were completely optional. The game had an innate way for you to receive the exact types of cards you wanted just by playing the game. On release, you could pick a faction like the Shadow Isles, and then passively unlock those types of cards when you play any game. Additionally, many things rewarded wild cards, a system that lets you get whatever card you wanted given it was the same rarity as the wild card. Rewards always felt plentiful and never drip-fed, and there was always a clear, relatively easy path to make your next deck. This system was objectively incredibly generous. Mark Merrill, CFO and co-founder of Riot, talked about it during a State of the Game update earlier in 2024.
Part of the the thesis and opportunity that really excited us as players was the fact that, in a lot of CCGs, one of the things we all love to do was build decks. And so we wanted to have a business model that was incredibly generous to players, that enabled people to have a lot of cards to then get into that fun experimentation and not feel like I've got to go spend hundreds of dollars in order to go get the cards, even build the decks and figure out,
let people try it.
Yeah.
This incredibly generous business model put players first in a way that no
And the sad part is that's probably what killed the game.
other mass market digital card games were doing at the time. Instead of needing to spend hundreds of dollars when a new set comes out, just continuing to play the game more would earn those cards as a reward for playing. Sounds like a pretty sweet deal, right? Players get the cards they want so they can get deck building right away. No more opening cards.
Oh, it's Sunny. You can't see him because he's under me, chat. I've hidden Sunny from view.
Packs letting RNG determine what decks you can and can't build. But here is the possible mistake Riot made. They didn't realize that, although perhaps predatory, there is a reason that business model has been a part of trading card games since the start. The nature of packs, loot boxes, gacha, or whatever you want to call it, brings people in and makes them stick around for more. Not only do players like it,
Bro, compare this to, do you guys remember the hours of opening the vault? You guys remember that? Compare this to that. And then there was me, hiding the vault, clicking through. That's crazy.
but viewers like it as well. Many games similar and dissimilar that have these mechanics gain a ton of viewership from streamers opening packs or trying to high roll for a rare cosmetic. Removing those aspects, regardless of what they do to the industry or a player's psyche, was Riot effectively shooting themselves in the foot.
Now imagine this. You make a card game called Legends of Runeterra, and you say, yeah, well, that addictive part, we could just cut it out. It's not necessary. We're just gonna make a good game. Sure, they made a great game. I still think to this day, on the market, there's no better card game to play. The playing of Runeterra is amazing, but they have that entire addictive part of the game, which is freaking awesome and fun and exciting to collect cards, and they said we don't need it.
Riot tried to apply the same business model that they had.
Bro, who's that guy? He's so right. Holy crap. The most base streamer of all time I've ever heard. How do I follow him? Where do I find his socials, chat? How do I find that man? Imagine that, chat. Imagine that. Can I say more? The turns are too long. Level up animations are boring after 3 times. Yeah, but I think the main reason it died is because it wasn't addictive. Same old bald guy.
Had used with League of Legends. They created a free-to-play game that would survive and make money off of players purchasing non-gameplay impacting cosmetics. So naturally, they'd want to replicate the success of another League strategy, esports. Blizzard had tried to make esports work for Hearthstone, but despite modest success, it never really reached the heights that other mass-market esports did. But people thought that if it was anyone, it would be Riot to succeed where other developers failed, and actually build a thriving, massively popular esports scene around a card game. However, Legends of Runeterra's player base never got large enough to successfully fan the flames of a thriving esports scene. Although they had multiple Worlds events and qualifiers, for one reason or another, these events were all held remotely and failed to reach the same viewership highs that games like League and Dota had. Despite all of Riot's best efforts, they couldn't solve the big—
I mean, to be fair, nobody thought that Legends of Runeterra would reach the same highs of viewership as League or Dota. Let's not go that far. Nobody expected it to be that high in viewership. That would never happen, no matter what happened.
Big issue that plagues TCG viewership, the barrier of entry to watch and understand what's going on. Card games are hard to spectate for a casual player, who doesn't have the requisite game knowledge of each card and their abilities. Anything exciting that does happen requires a ton of information to really fully appreciate, which is something that other popular esports usually don't have problems with. So in the end, only Runeterra players watched Runeterra tournaments, and the ceiling for viewership and esports growth became capped from the start. This all leads us to the State of the Game 2024, in which Riot announced that they would be ending support for competitive PvP in Legends of Runeterra. In early 2024, Riot was downsizing. They had a massive wave of layoffs and even ended support for their Riot—
Man, and when this happened right as we were going to LA, it made the trip— I mean, the trip was still great, but—
Forge projects. Their goal was to focus all of their funding and effort on titles that they knew would be successful and that they believed should be prioritized. Legends of Runeterra did not meet the criteria.
But we could sort of, never really get the formula right. We were always spending a lot more money investing in the game and supporting the community than the game was bringing in, and so essentially being subsidized by our other products. So we tried a lot of things over the last couple of years to figure out how to grow the audience and what would resonate with players. And so we sort of reached a point where we had to make some changes to try to get to a place of sustainability, because players have been so committed to this game, and we know so many people love the game, that we want to keep finding a way to deliver this awesome game.
I gotta say also, the devs on LoR are really cool people. Like when I was in LA, like we just talked all the time. Great dev people. They had a great
Riot
dev
decided to take their support of the game and fully focus it more on the PvE side. They claimed that most of the player base was actually playing PvE, so they believed the best thing to do would be to develop the parts of the game that players love the most. This meant, though, that support for things like esports ended immediately. In the Q&A that was released along with the State of the Game, Riot stated that, "For now, competitive PvP will be put into hibernation. This includes gauntlets, ranked season rewards, tournaments such as the Runeterra Open System, Worlds, and esports holistically. However, we will keep casual, standard, eternal, and versus AI open indefinitely. Ranked, standard, and eternal will continue, but in a different structure than today that we'll be figuring out soon. With the sweeping changes to Riot and Legends of Runeterra, it will take us some time to figure out what we can do with those formats, and we'll update you when we have more solid plans." So competitive support ended for Legends of Runeterra. Despite seemingly doing everything right, this high-potential product appears to have failed. But why? Well,
Rob is watching one of my videos right now. Who's Rob again? I'm so bad at names, dude. Help me out here, Crip. Who's Rob? But welcome to the stream. I suck at names. There's like a million Robs I know.
It's a nuanced combination of things. To start, their business model was too generous. While this might seem like an insane thing to say, if you ask most regulars of the game, there would be an agreement that Runeterra provided one of the friendliest systems in TCGs, beyond just giving everyone every card. You can have a big discussion on TCGs and argue which part of a game that involves collectibles is the part that causes a player to keep coming back. But if you ask anybody that played trading card games, real or digital, what some of their favorite moments were with them, most of the time they would think to a rare pack pull, rather than a big outplay.
Oh, a POE2 streamer? Why are they watching my stream? Let me see. What are they watching? Oh, I know this guy. Isn't he like the guy who makes the warrior builds? Give me a sec. He's the guy who makes the warriors. And now you ask yourself, in Diablo 4. Do I also want to pick up these two? Any of these? Or shall I continue to go maybe for this and this? I see. Yeah. So I have a read. What is this? All right. I have a read. What does
React
this do?
Reactception.
Yeah, he definitely has a good point. Like you only have to make one decision at a time. Obviously, in the end, you might need to respec, and it's going to be a big decision because it's a direction, right? You go down here, or you go up here, or you go straight. Like there's like many choices still.
We react while he reacts, chat.
But
He's right. I do have a good point. And I'll have a read like, what does this do, maybe, or whatever. And then I choose. Now, I kind of think these are very important for my build. Boop, I'll pick that up. I'll pick that up as well. What's next? Well, I'm already kind of far away from these. I'm not going to pick them up. So my only option is to go forward. Do I go forward from here, or do I like this? Oh, I like this. Fine. Let me go here. And by the way, this is already like level what? Level 10, 15? You've had a long time even to make these little choices. It's taken a while to get here. Now that you're here, you're asking yourself, what is next? Well, I wanted these guys, so you progress here. You pick them up. They're all yours.
Yeah.
Now, next. What is cool? I'll have a look at what is closest to me. Do I like this, this? All right, I kind of like that one. Let me pick it up. And that's all you do. Eventually, you're going to be like level 20, 30, 40. There's going to be people like level 80 who are professional gamers. And you're going to see a YouTube video saying, hey, I found a really cool build. And you're going to look at their build, and it's going to be a little bit different from yours. Maybe they went this direction of the path. Maybe they did this early on, right? Well, now you have a chance to respec if you really want to try. And you're going to find out why this is so strong. Oh, maybe this node right here, it activates some kind of build.
True.
You can try that. You can respec your tree. But again, it's very easy to deal with. And if you started here, you don't have to care about any of this. All of this is dead. This doesn't exist, chat. None of this matters at all. You're not going there. Definitely not in a first playthrough. All of that.
How does this guy know so much, chat?
It's not that big of a tree. This is your area you got to understand and learn. And you will learn it slowly but surely, procedurally. You don't have to rush to learn it all. And yeah, that's your first playthrough. You're going to have many characters. On your first character, you're going to learn the basics. On your second character, you'll already have ideas. Wow. So let's say your first character gets to level 70 and you eventually end up in this part of the tree. Like you ended up here. And you found out that you really love how this node plays. After I don't know, 20, 30 hours in game. Because you did all of this, right? Well, maybe on your next character, you're going to say, I really want to get this as early as possible. How do I do that? Let me try rushing to it, right? And then maybe on your very next playthrough,
Other
you're
bald guy
skip
makes a
all of
good
this and
point.
say, hey, on my
It's like that dude played quite some POE already.
next character, I'm going to go more glass cannon. I'm going to go straight through the DPS part, pick this up, pick this up. Maybe I'm going to get some power charges, whatever, pick this up. And I am lining out all the way here. I'm going to sacrifice some time and pick up this bad boy because he is amazing. And now I'm pretty early level. I've got what I wanted, and then I can branch out. And that's how the game works. People think it's intimidating, but it's not. Over multiple playthroughs, over multiple characters, you learn what you like to play. And this is all sticking to this one tree. You're not really moving far away from here. All of this is irrelevant to you. Now, if you do decide to play a new character, like I've had enough fun with the, I don't know, let's say this is the Witch. I'm bored of playing Witch. I really want to try something that's an entire 180. I want to go here. You already have like 50 hours in the game by the point this happens. You've got a lot of time. At this point, it is okay to go on YouTube. Hey, what is a really cool build for the Warrior or Marauder, whoever is over here, or the Ranger? I can look up a build because I really don't know what's happening in this part of the tree. Or you can do the exact same thing and play blind. What do I want? Do I want this or this? Do I want to go for damage, survivability, utility? You can do the same process again. And it's a game that just gives you so much playtime. You can do whatever you want in this game for a very long time. There's so much to learn. But the mistake is people think they have to learn it all at once. No, you don't have to learn it all at once. Because, again, 90% of the information on this tree is irrelevant to your first character. It's irrelevant to your second, third, or fourth character, as long as you're sticking with the same kind of character. It's only relevant when you decide to do an entire 180 and play a different playstyle. So enjoy your first playthrough. You started here. Don't read anything on the tree except for what's right here in front of you.
Yeah.
Pick up whatever seems the coolest, and then continue. Keep branching out. And if you're playing softcore, dying doesn't matter. If you're being a bit inefficient, it doesn't matter.
Yep.
If you find out 30 hours into the game that there's something really cool over here that you really want to get, you can respec a few points. You can dive there. You can pick it up if you want to. You can respec 10, 15 points off your tree. You'll have enough gold to do it. So yeah, again, my advice is don't worry about it.
Genius, baby!
This is all that matters for your first playthrough. You don't really need to see much more. And again, even when you first start playing, you don't even have to read anything here. You don't have to read it until you finish up reading what's over here. So yeah. It's one step at a time. Here or here, I choose here. All right, here or here, I choose here. Here or here, I like this one better. All right, and now it's straight line. All right, now we have a few more choices. Well, what am I going to look here? Well, I'm just going to look at the really big nodes. Which one looks the best? This, or this. I read all four. All right, I'm going to go for this one.
Yeah, I think for a beginning player, it's great.
Picked it up.
Thanks for recommending the
By
video.
this point, I've already read the rest. Do I want to pick these up?
I don't know,
If they're really good for your build, I'll pick them up as well. If they're bad, I'll skip them.
Yo, we got a sub, baby! There it is,
I guess I'm
chat!
just going to go forward.
It's over!
Do I want to
We
go
are
to this
growing in
build tree, or
subs
do I wanna go to this
before
build
my
tree?
very eyes.
I'll have a few looks at the most
Insanity.
big nodes. What does this do? What does
Plus
this do? What
one,
does this
baby.
do?
There it is.
Once I've seen that, oh yeah.
No, he's not
I
allowed
kind
to
of
pull up
like
my
what
stream chat.
This does, or maybe what this does.
He's not allowed to pull up my
Let's go
stream
ahead.
because that would be
Let's
stream
pick this up.
Streamception where he's
Ooh, I
reacting
feel
to me,
watched
reacting to him,
fantastic.
reacting to me.
Now that I'm here, I have
No,
a few
no,
more
no.
directions to go. I'll
We're-
look at
we're
the
fine
really
as we
big,
are.
important, like, game-changing keystones. Does this fit for my playstyle? Not really. No. What is this? And by the way, what's really interesting is a lot of these are very visually easy to understand. For example, you see these patterns, like you have like diamonds. You have these like shield icons. There's a good chance this means shield. This right here might be crossbow related, right? So you just look at.
Oh,
Yeah.
dude. Yo,
True.
GGG is so smart, man.
Proof? Yeah.
Dude, like, this
Yeah.
is the first time I'm seeing this.
Yeah,
I'm
there it
learning,
is,
guys.
chat.
Yo, I didn't realize that. Yeah, this guy's great.
There it
Here's the
is.
video again.
Look at it. Oh, this is for crossbows.
Gee, man.
I don't play crossbows. I don't have to read anything here. If you're in this part of the tree, right? So
Hey,
you'll see a
I
lot of
never
like
saw
crossbow
this.
related stuff probably here. Look, this is sword related.
I thought this was just the universe, the stars. Look, this is a sword. What?
Yeah. Yeah.
This is fucking eye-opening.
Visual
Damage with
representation.
swords, or maybe blocking with like parrying with one-handers. This is spear related or whatever, like staff related. This also is crossbow related, right? So the tree gives you ideas and hints on what is happening in what direction. And once you see the patterns, once you realize what this is,
Dude.
you kind of know, oh, I already have enough.
Mind
let's say this is
equals
energy shield.
blown.
Oh, I have enough energy shield. I don't even have to read what this does. Or, I don't play energy shield. I don't care about these. I do play shield. What does this do? Right? So don't get too intimidated.
All stars alive.
It makes a lot of sense once you start playing.
Actually,
And
five
again,
dude.
you don't need to have a PhD to actually play the skill tree. And at the end of the day, if you
I
actually
didn't
don't want to
know.
make any of these choices, you will have online resources telling you what the meta builds are. If you want to go down that path, not make your own build and go for a meta build, it'll be there within days. Last but not least, there is literally a search bar in-game. If you want to find what node has minions, let's say you're playing a minion build, you just put the word minion, and it's going to highlight every minion node. If you feel like you don't have enough HP, you
think
literally
they
put
have to
life in the search bar. It will highlight everything with life. So, if you want to look for something specific for your build, oh, I'm not tanky enough, I want more armor or life or block, you type in the keyword, it'll show you every single one near where you're at. So again, don't
There it
let
is.
the game intimidate you.
True.
It's pretty easy to navigate. And you will only know all of this after a very long time of playing. But I stress again, you don't need to know all of it. And you'll be just fine knowing none of it. I hope that helps a little bit. And see you all next time.
See you all next time, chat. There it is.
Rare point, man. I
Yo,
think this was
we did it.
Timestamp. Here it is, guys. You already subscribed, man. There's so many awesome creators that I just don't know about.
Man, one of the main thing I get-
Exile. Yeah, don't be spare, guys. Yeah, good video, great message. Message approved. Hell yeah, man. Other Diablo guys get. Well,
All right, that was pretty fun.
So that thing
Let's
exists,
go. Let's. No, chat. Listen, I don't like my own videos, but he said
There's
like and
certainly
subscribe,
only
so I did it out of respect to the streamer I was watching. All right.
notes in
All right.
here.
I'm
I
just.
think whoever's
I'm a
making this tool, it's
respectful
like a
viewer.
GitHub, it's like all free.
That's right.
And you can kind of like
There it is.
see. I don't know. You just zoom in like. You can just
All right, that was pretty cool. Let's finish watching this. Let's finish watching. Where is it? Wait, I forgot to follow Rob. Oh shit. Wait, time out, chat. We gotta follow Rob. I threw. I threw. I need to follow him. Wait. What? Twitch.tv. Why does he have so many numbers in his name? 2628. I gotta follow.
Yeah, I'll link it up.
There it is. Easy. All right, we're good.
Yeah, I'll link it here on YouTube too.
All right, he's been followed. Thanks for following. Free emotes.
Yeah, no problem, guys.
Fantastic. All right.
Sharing is caring.
Sharing is caring.
Great stuff. He's also live.
Wait, they're still watching my channel. Wait, what's happening? I'm confused.
Man,
one of the
guys,
main
this
things I
is
get
way
from my
more
community.
views, man, than 5K. I'd like to share my experience as a
Oh, the
PoE
comments.
PoE noob, man, only 5,000 hours played. Yeah,
True.
I'm a PoE noob. I only played 5,000 hours.
Chat, this is great content. I don't have to say anything. I can let Rob talk. This is. I should do this more often. Chat, why do I stream? I can just watch other streamers stream. You know? W content. Yeah, I can react to people reacting to me. This is the life. I just sit back, relax. I agree when they agree with me. I disagree when they disagree with me. The XQC meta.
Insane when it comes to website tools. Yeah, I mean, like, you just gotta just like blast.
Thanks for the
this
follow,
one out.
guys. Hello there, Ice Viper and Ikyrus.
So do you guys think we're gonna get a path of building ready?
All right. That's enough. I've milked this enough.
1,200
Enough milking.
hours. Nah. Don't know if we're gonna get that, but
Enough milking, chat. Let's move on to Legends of Runeterra. What do we have here?
And then the other one is, holy bitch! That's a freaking Black Lotus!
Maybe it was just bad timing.
Let me actually
Maybe
go
the
back a
genre
little
just
bit.
isn't big enough. Most of the time, they would think to a rare pack pull, rather than a big outplay.
This game was so good.
And then the other one is, holy bitch! That's a freaking Black Lotus!
Maybe it was just
Can
bad
you imagine pulling a Black Lotus? It's the entire reason to buy Magic like beta starter decks and stuff. Were those in the starter decks though? I think so.
timing. Maybe the genre just isn't big enough, or maybe it really was that Legends of Runeterra gave too much away and didn't give the players anything
Yeah, you're
to
right,
chase.
Buckle, exactly
Some
that.
speculate that the cosmetics didn't sell well enough also. But Travis argues that the lack of sales wasn't a core issue.
I think I would disagree with the idea that the problem is that people weren't buying these, because I don't know if people were buying them or not, but the problem was that there were not people to buy them. I think that the biggest issue Legends of Runeterra faced was a player-based issue.
Nah, I super disagree. Didn't LoR have a lot of players, especially like in Path of Champions? They had a pretty damn good player base. Like how many people did there were at least hundreds of thousands of people playing every month, I'd guess. Viewership was pretty good on YouTube as well for a card game. I mean, Riot themselves said that what happened is they were in the red all the time. Like they never made profit.
Because
I think it's easily like 300-400K plus.
TFT has stuck around, been a massive success, and eventually they figured out the monetization issue, or maybe they're still working on developing it. But like for a long time, TFT was like, I think you could buy some very basic cosmetics.
And what was the monetization way they fixed TFT? Gotcha. Giving eggs.
For it or whatever, but the game was so successful that there was never any doubt about whether or not Riot should continue to invest into it or like what the deal should be with it. On the other hand, you've had Legends of Runeterra where they were coming at it and building really cool cosmetics,
Jeez,
but there were not people to purchase that.
One thing was for certain, not enough players were playing the game. While Legends of Runeterra had some great new ideas, it didn't present a radical departure from what TCGs are, so it likely struggled with bringing in new players to the genre. It was an incredible product for the niche of people who love League of Legends lore and great new card games, but at the end of the day, that wasn't enough.
You know, for me, I hope that Riot realizes that they need to balance their desire to take a long time and be thoughtful about what a game could be, etc., with the need to move on a space before it starts to get stale. I love and find it so funny that TFT came out right around the same time as Legends of Runeterra and is massively successful. And so much so that I don't think Riot does a good job of even explaining how successful TFT is. I think the one time was when I interviewed John Needham and he said it was the biggest strategy game in the world. That was a game that was, what's the Iron Man meme about, like, Tony Stark built this in a cave or whatever?
Mort Dog was able to build this in a cave.
Like, that was essentially what TFT did, while Project Bacon or Legends of Runeterra was taking 8 years or whatever to.
Well, to be fair, the entire formula was already made in Dota Auto Chess. They just needed to replicate the formula to a large, let's be a little bit fair here. Like, the entire playstyle already existed. It wasn't something they just cooked in a cave like Iron Man.
To build, they were building that and basically immediately with sticks and duct tape in the League of Legends client when that genre took off. And they ended up owning and claiming that genre when everybody else was trying to do the gold rush there.
So let's talk about why they claimed the genre so easily. One thing to consider is in TFT, they were able to do it in client, in the League client, where they already had millions of people playing, right? So there was no need to make an account. There was no need to download a launcher or a client, nothing. Oh, by the way, you guys like League? Here's a little button to play TFT as well. If they made it a separate game, you have to download a separate launcher, there's a good chance it never would have blown up the way it did. Because most people just don't have the patience to click download to see if they like a game. Most people are like, I know what games I like. I don't want to try any new games. Because there's this prospect of, I don't want to have my time wasted by seeing, in order to see if I like a game enough to play it, right? A lot of people will never give a game a chance because it's just too much work to give it a chance. Because more often than not, it's like, well, this game is okay, but I still prefer my main game. But when it's just one click away, oh, by the way, you can just click this button and it plays. You already have the client, you already have the account, everything's set up for you. You make it really easy to try. No, but even adding the LoR button was not enough because LoR runs in its own client. You have to download the client, you got to go through the tutorial. TFT just throws you in. Just play the damn game. It's hard to overstate how strong of a factor that is for making TFT popular.
So what is the current state of the game? Is it dead? Well, not really. The game has now shifted from its PvP focus to more of a roguelike deck building game. But its systems were never a problem to start. Even if it wasn't your jam, the lore within is still as full as ever. And if anything, the game has plenty of story-rich elements for those interested in the setting. Hopefully, even with the few players remaining and lowered support from Riot overall, the game can continue to slowly improve. Because even though Legends of Runeterra wasn't the next big thing, it was enough. But sometimes, that doesn't cut it.
Shout out and thanks to Cloud, Steph, B, Pass, Shampoo, and Yashichi for being top patrons of the channel. If you enjoyed the video, leaving a like, subscribing, and hitting the bell to stay up to date is much appreciated.
Very good video. All right, I'm gonna give you guys the link here because supposedly that's what everybody does now. Asmongold has taught us the way. So there's the video link if you guys want to watch it in your own time. Pretty damn good video. The part I liked the most was probably this part, chat. I think this part made the most sense. Now imagine this. You make a card game called Legends of Runeterra, and you say, yeah, well, that addictive part, we could just cut it out. It's not necessary. We're just going to make a good game. Sure, they made a great game. I still think to this day, on the market, there's no better card game to play. The playing of Runeterra is amazing, but they have that entire addictive part of the game, which is freaking awesome and fun and exciting to collect cards, and they said we don't need it.
Riot tried to apply the same.
Yep, true. True. Yes, sir. All right. That's enough, chat. We're done reacting. We're done reacting. That's enough React content for now. Let's have a look at some Path of Exile 2 stuff. Let's see what's happening in POE2. Is there anything new to look at, or are we screwed? One sec. Let me set this up.
Where are we at? Display capture. Where's my monitor capture? I can never find this. There it is. Path of Exile 2, Google Chrome. There it is. All right. Here we go. It is time to explore POE2, and I'm hoping we have some new things to look at. Story playthrough experience, if you didn't fix it. Made this so you can share it. For new folk coming to PoE, another thing to know is that this game has actual economy. It's true. Streamer event will be like this in coming days. Anybody here playing leagues? Dude, I thought about it. I really wanted to play leagues on RuneScape, but the problem was PoE2 is coming in on the 6th, and there's just no time. Like, leagues is something you play for the long term, right? It would feel really bad to get addicted to RuneScape leagues and then stop playing. How do I make 7 days pass faster? Play another game. Play one more character in PoE1. Focus on your life. That's wait. Yo, somebody has the PoE tree? That's so sick. I mean, not the full tree, obviously. Let me see how this works. Let me see if we can actually use this tree or not. One sec. See if I can actually make it work. Hey, thank you for the sub, Ice Viper. Thanks, buddy. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. All right, chat. We have an interactable tree. Look at this. Thank you, Ice Viper. Is that your first ever sub on here? No, sorry. Ice Viper followed. It was Kairos who subbed to the stream. Thank you very much. Thanks, man. All right, here it is, guys. So, as we have stated, we are probably starting off in the strength area, correct? Now, which is the strength area? Where's the warrior start? It's here, right? I think. Yeah, this is the warrior start, I believe. We can have a look at a lot of these nodes and see where we're going to be going. So we have, all of this is pretty useless to the playstyle we want to go with. If we're going for a totem build. 4% increased chance to block. 10 life gained when you block. How bad is that? 10 life gained on block. Wow. What about this side of the tree? Energy shield. This is the one. Ancient Aegis. So let's look at, first of all, is there anything with totems? This is the only totem node they've found so far. I'm guessing this is going to be totems as well. So from what we see, this little design looks to be a totem design. Are there any like it around here? Are there any more totem designs in this area? Could this be totems? Totem completely unsupported by GGG. I don't believe it. Your first ever sub? Oh, and thank you for becoming a member of the channel, my Russian friend. Thank you very, very much. I just saw that. Wait, is that what happened? No, that was the sub. It was a YouTube sub. That's why I can't find it. I cannot pronounce your name, though. Your first ever sub on YouTube. Thanks a lot, dude. Thank you so much. You're Mongolian? Okay, Yeah, I can't pronounce your name. Is it possible to kind of make a mix of dual class? There's no real like class other than ascendancies. So basically, here's how the classes differ. Each one has their own unique starting spot in the tree. That's the main thing. If you start here versus whether you start here, you have easier access to this stuff, right? Whereas if you start here, you have easier access to this stuff. That's the main difference. And the secondary main difference is the ascendancies you have access to are not the same. So, like, warrior can become a warmonger, right? So, yeah, a warmonger. Whereas witch can become a, or like a monk can become a prophet of Chayula, whatever. Those are the two things that differ. But you can start here and walk all the way to this part of the tree and pick up these nodes. You could start here and just really just move on to the side. If you want to mix and match your ascendancy points from this starting spot versus the actual nodes on this side. It is inefficient, obviously. Like, in order to get here, you would have to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. You have to waste like 25 points to get there, right? And you only have a certain amount of points you can use in your build. But you can go anywhere in the tree you want. Also, keep in mind, you can anoint any one of these onto your amulet. So you have the option, like, let's say you're in this part of the tree, you picked all this up, but you really want this node. Well, you can anoint this node on your amulet. Every single, not keystones, by the way, these are keystones, but every single notable can be anointed. So you have a one notable you can always put on your amulet to enhance your playstyle. So, for example, I could be playing, I don't know, what's a good example for this? Let's say, let me think of a good one. Let's say you want +1 to all maximum elemental resistances. That's solid. Like, +1 all res is very strong in any build. But let's say you start in this part of the tree. You're not going to path all the way over here just to get this. It makes no sense. So you would anoint this on your amulet. Now, good notables cost more to anoint than bad notables. So that's something to keep in mind. Is there a guide on YouTube on how to go into a coma for a week? Just watch my stream. Listen to me talk about Path of Exile. You'll fall asleep, I guarantee it. Just lie back, relax, and let it happen. All right, cool tree. See if there's anything else to find. That's a very cool tree. I can't wait for them to fill it out. Savor your first playthrough? Yeah, that's why I plan to go hardcore in my first playthrough, to savor it. Watch South Park. Eric did that? Really? I have finally found it after 15 years. The Scroll of Truth. People that quit POE1 because of the complexity will quit POE2 when they encounter any sort of difficulty. Yeah, probably. Probably. So there's two kinds of people. There's the kind of people who get into POE1 and quit because it's too complex. Those will certainly quit POE2. But there's the kind of people who never tried POE1 because of the complexity. That's a different demographic. Those people might very well stick around for POE2 if they give it a try. Type 1 if you've never played POE1 and you didn't play because it just looked too overwhelming. I mean, there's at least one person in my chat who just never played it. Because like, yeah, there's too much to learn. I don't feel like it. I don't want to get a PhD in a game just to play it. You know, I wanna Candy Crush. I wanna chop lemons in Fruit Chop or whatever it's called. So all those people might enjoy POE2, and they're probably going to give it a shot because the game is going to be really big on launch. What you really don't like about POE1 is the obscurity of crafting methods, and there's so many. That's probably the hardest part to learn. I can craft pretty decently, but I still don't know all the meta ways to like get what I want on a piece of gear. Very often I'll find a piece of gear and I was like, holy crap, what did I just make? And the first thing I do is link it in chat. It's like, hey, anybody have any idea what I should do next? Like, what crafting method is best to use next? Oh, you want to block mana and you want to use I don't know, Elder influenced Exile, right, on it. No, don't do that. You want to like unveil it. Oh no, that's a horrible idea. What you want? No, there's so many things you can do. And it's never like an exact science. You can take it to, you can like, suffixes cannot be removed and do Harvard's Reforge. You can, but again, we're starting off at a much lower level of complexity, and we're going to slowly build. And getting there day one when it's easier is just going to be a breath of fresh air. You couldn't make your own builds work. I had to copy other builds. Yeah, it's going to be way better though now with respec points. Health globe with CI. Posting jokes in every free key fright. This guy wants a free early access key. All right. It's important to have realistic expectations. No, it's not. List of every support gem featured by Havoc in his latest video. Every POE2 Keystone on the passive skill tree. This is his newest vid. We're going to watch this, I think. This is a good watch. Behead support. Early access celebration showcase, South Korea. I want to check this out as well. Let me have a look. Oh, this is the interview. Did anything cool happen here? Do you guys know? Did he talk about new information? There's no way he can speak Korean.
Cheat and I got one. So that's the only one I've ever seen actually.
그 아이템을 받으려고 한 건 아니고 이제 테스트하면서 치트키로 좀 다른 걸 테스트하고 있었는데 그때는 딱 한 번 보셨다고 합니다. 제 생각엔 이 정도면.
Wait, I thought he was speaking English. I heard I got one.
네, 뭐 거기까지만. 네.
자, 그러면 이제 두 번째 질문 한번 뽑아볼게요. 혹시 먼저 질문하고 싶으신 인플루언서 분 계세요?
Was he Korean?
오. 핑크구마님 한번 먼저 들어볼까요, 그러면? 네.
Or imagine if, wait, he must speak Korean in this case, because there's no way he's surrounded by two guys speaking Korean, and he's like, yeah, sure, It's being translated by who? He doesn't have a translator. Does he have like an earpiece?
안녕하세요, 크리에이터 핑크구마입니다.
Bro, yo, could you imagine if you can't speak Korean, somebody says something, everyone's clapping, you're like, well, I guess I gotta clap too. I guess, yes, sir. Yep, I'm down with that. That's gonna be so awkward. I'd be so weirded out if I was sitting there, if that was me, man. John's a nice guy, but like, how do you know what you're clapping for? What?
안 뽑힐 줄 알고 손 들었는데. 감사합니다. 제가 궁금한 점은요. 이제
Like, do you laugh on cue? Because everyone else is laughing?
이제 정식 출시를 어떻게 계획하고 계시는지 그 부분이 궁금합니다.
So this question is about.
Oh, so this guy speaks English. Okay, all right.
Kind of the timing. So what is maybe the timeline for early access updates within early access, and then also kind of what's your outlook for the final release, the full release?
So I think that it will take, for the second part, I think that it will definitely take us at least 6 months, but maybe a little bit more to be able to get out of early access.
Dude, that's so fast. I was thinking, like, I heard 6 months to a year. I was thinking a year plus. If it's only 6 months away, that is so fast. But then again, should I really be surprised? POE1 pushed ridiculous schedules. Like, they had a new league every few months, which is massive amounts of work. Let me ask you guys this. How long would it take for Diablo 4 devs to make what is equivalent of a league in PoE? Like, how long would it take them to make the Expeditions League in D4? And make it as good. And make it as good. Not a scuffed version. 2 to 3 years. True. Never? Probably never. Make it as good as Expedition. Make it run as well. With as much in-depth, like, you know, there's no way. They can't do it. 3 acts and 24 more ascendancy classes in 6 months is fast. It's ridiculous. But they've been doing it for years. You know what that just means? They have good talent in their dev team. They just have talented individuals, and they keep them. They probably pay them well, you know? What does Blizzard do? They fire everybody. And they just keep getting fresh blood who can't do the work because they don't have any experience. They said they were 80% done, don't forget. That's fair. Valheim after 45 years of early access. Yeah, all right.
I certainly don't want it to take more than a year. I do want it to be next year that we finish.
I wish they had like chapters to know exactly what's happening here. Because I don't want to watch the full 1 hour plus right now. There's got to be a recap somewhere, right? Actually, Korean doesn't seem that hard. I can understand half of it already. That's great. Valheim had 10 devs. True. GG is one of the big companies in New Zealand at this point. Probably. Like, the game is massive. We're so close. Korean PoE stream and QA with Jonathan in 7 minutes. That's the one we were just watching. Oh boy. All right, we're gonna watch the Dream video, I think. See if we can find anything new there, but I think we're not gonna be able to cover much POE2 today because there doesn't seem to be any massive leaks or anything. And that's kind of what I'm waiting for. So where's my dude Dream? Oh, here it is. All right.
There are all sorts of things to discover. You may even find a lonely man who will give you a unique item for free. Each in-game mechanic needs to have a pinnacle in-game encounter. The most difficult content in Path of Exile 2.
I've covered some of the POE2 keystones in video.
It just double played. I don't know. Don't ask me, chat. I don't know how it works. YouTube being YouTube.
There are all
right, we're good. Let's check it out.
Sorts of things to discover. You may even find a lonely... There are all sorts of things to discover. You may even find a lonely man who will give you a unique item for free. Each in-game mechanic needs to have a pinnacle in-game encounter. The most difficult content in Path of Exile 2.
I've covered some of the POE2 keystones in video.
Am I Brazilian? I live in Brazil. Not born here, though.
Is about their particular section on the tree, but not all of them. So this video will serve as a full overview of every keystone that will be on the tree for POE2's early access launch, showing where they're located and discussing exactly how they work. So here we are on the footage that I recorded in my playtime in Los Angeles, and we're beginning with Resolute Technique, which is...
Real quick, is it called Los Angeles or Los Angeles? I've always called it Los Angeles. But, again, I'm not from the US, so maybe I've been saying it wrong all this time.
Unchanged from Path of Exile 1. Your hits can't be evaded, never deal critical strikes. This keystone makes it so...
English versus American. Okay. Can you ever say Los Angeles? Like, I'm guessing there's a lot of people like from South America living in LA these days anyway. Because when I was in LA, like half of it was like Spanish speaking. How common is Los Angeles?
That the accuracy hit check calculation is bypassed because the enemy cannot evade your attacks.
I go with less.
As long as the
please.
attack makes contact, it will hit, but at the cost of preventing you from dealing any critical strikes.
Wait, so they do have Resolute Technique. All right.
Blood magic has changed a little bit, and it's also moved quite significantly on the tree, now finding itself at an equal distance from the strength and strength int starting location.
So this is actually pretty close to us. I mean, it's where it's always been at, right? It's in the like Marauder area, which is the warrior area. So all the way to the left. And isn't this pretty close to the totems we saw?
This one removes all of your mana and makes skills cost life instead of mana. It doesn't grant 10% more life like it does in PoE 1.
Yeah.
This one is very interesting considering that all characters will now have their entire mana pool, as reservations now use spirit instead of mana. It's hard to say exactly how useful blood magic will be without knowing how difficult it is to manage standard mana skill costs in the endgame.
So first of all, I think the fact that you're obligated to use a mana pot probably means that mana is hard to sustain for every class to an extent. So this actually might be quite stronger than it is in PoE 1. And secondly, I was told there's a unique item that lets you like use 2 life flasks. So theoretically, if you have that item, you can just get double the life flask usage. And life flasks are supposed to be also very important in PoE 2. So I could see this being very strong, especially if you get the item to use double life flask. Without the item, having one less flask slot seems kind of really bad to me. In terms of character creation, aka cosmetic-wise, is it only gear? Yeah. Well, at least in POE1, but it should be the same in POE2. You don't customize your character at all. You just pick the starting class. They all look different. And the way you make it look cosmetically is gear.
Next up, we have Avatar of Fire, which has slightly moved towards the outer side of the tree, but remains in the strength-aligned area. Avatar of Fire has changed a bit from POE1, making 75% of all damage types be converted to fire while
That's all. That includes like lightning and cold damage, right? That's pretty cool. Wait, wasn't it just physical in POE1?
Preventing you from dealing any non-fire damage. This means that it will also convert chaos damage too, which is new in POE2. We know that damage conversion scales differently in POE2. You can only scale the portion of converted damage with modifiers that affect fire damage dealt.
If it converts chaos damage now, does that mean that you can go a poison build with Avatar of Fire and scale fire damage instead of scaling poison? That's kind of cool. Like, it could very well be the case that elemental / fire is easier to scale than poison is, than chaos damage is. You don't know if it would convert. It says of damage converted to fire damage. And he did say that chaos damage counts, but it would be cool if he could do that. What are some really cool chaos abilities you could scale to fire? Like Essence Drain. I don't know. Hard to say. I think in order to poison, you have to do chaos damage. Aren't there skills that innately poison, though? Like, what about Pathfinder flasks?
The downside modifier of preventing non-fire damage on this keystone means that you'll need to find the remaining 25% conversion before you take the keystone to prevent losing a chunk of damage. But overall, this keystone has a lot of potential to completely convert any damage type over to fire and allow abilities to be played in completely different builds.
Yo, thanks for the follow there, man. Faculty, I appreciate it. Chaos damage was known as really bad in POE1 for the most part because of dot cap.
Giant's Blood has been a fan favorite since the moment it was leaked.
But it was pretty hard to hit dot cap, wasn't it?
From the Tokyo Game Show a few months back.
Because I know even when I played like my Trickster with Essence Drain, I never really hit any dot cap. I could always make it a bit stronger.
And we're finally able to get the confirmed wording on this one. You can wield two-handed axes, maces, and swords in one hand. Double attribute requirements of weapons.
I really wish there were two-handed shields. Could you imagine double... Well, you can't do double two-handed shield, but the one downside of this in my mind is you really shouldn't be running shields in this build. You really want to go two-handers, right? Because a two-hander gives way more stats than a shield that is one-hander does by design. So I really want to play a shield build if I'm playing hardcore because I think shielding is just so strong defensively. And there is no two-handed shield. At least I don't think there is.
So this keystone is confirmed to not double the level requirement of two-handed weapons, as I had speculated may be the case in previous videos.
I never thought
and
that.
You can dual wield two-handed weapons. But to do so, you'll need a mammoth amount.
Because I mean, how could you even speculate that? Because don't certain weapons have like a level 90 level requirement? We literally saw that in the showcase. So what would that mean? You have to be level 180 to equip it? That wouldn't make sense.
Of attributes, particularly strength.
Thanks for the follow there, Had.
This keystone is such a fun one, and it's hard to say how strong this is without knowing how accessible attributes will be, or how high the standard attribute requirements are on the top tier two-handed weapons.
So I wouldn't really view it that way, because even if it's hard to get attributes, it's never bad to get them. And there will certainly be attribute stackers due to seeing on the tree that we have like plus 10% attribute, right? So there will be people stacking strength because strength is really good. It gives you HP, it gives you... So I think the bigger question is, in order to like identify how good this is how strong are two-handed weapons versus one-handed weapons, right? If two-handed weapons are twice as good as one-handers, this might be very well broken. If they're only a little bit better, it might not be worth it, right? But for somebody who's doing attribute stacking, why wouldn't you get it unless you really need to play a shield? I think you almost always get it if you're doing like strength stacking. Even if it's not just strength stacking, if you're going like sword, if you're doing like dex stacking, you can go swords. Only downside is it's on this part of the tree. So, I mean, that's not even a downside because who dex stacks on the top right? Nobody really. That would be more like in stacking. Yeah.
But if POE1 is anything to go by, you may need somewhere in the region of 850 strength if you want to dual wield the highest level 2-hand maces. That's a lot of strength, but there is a very big difference in what is gained from attributes going into POE2, where you not only gain a lot more life from strength, but you also have extremely limited life scaling on the passive skill tree, making this investment into strength a lot more useful than just satisfying the Giant's Blood requirements.
And not only that, but when you stack that much strength, every little node of like 3% more HP is very powerful.
I expect to see some fun builds using this one.
Also, where's, damn it. Open this up. Also to consider, and this is almost certainly going to be the case, where's my boy? 20% more maximum life. So if you're going for a full-on strength stacker, you're going to have a ridiculous HP pool. Being able to just drop this down for 20% more is insane because you can't find this anywhere, right? This is very hard to find in POE2. So this is ridiculous. And not only that, then you have like this bad boy. Armor from equipped body armor is doubled. And if you have a very high HP pool, the first thing you want to do is find a multiplier that makes it even tankier per HP basis. So this could absolutely be insane. It would be my go-to first attempt at a strength stacker, just to make him giga tanky. Because not only is he just naturally tanky because of that, but you're also playing with really big hitting weapons, right? So you're hitting for a lot of damage. You don't even need to go ascendancy points into damage because you're hitting with two-handers. So yeah, you just go for... It looks really, really strong. Although we don't really know how to stack strength or int or dex in POE2, so that's going to come with time. You're going to have to learn how to do it. I'm guessing maybe that's not even for a first character. Maybe you need to get like certain uniques to activate the playstyle. So it's going to take 1 or 2 characters to fund your third character.
Next up, we have Unwavering Stance, which has moved a little bit closer to...
You think two-handed and shield will be strong? The problem with two-handed and shield is that one-handed shield is inferior to a two-handed weapon by design. So it should always be technically better to do two-handers than one two-hander and a shield. Because then you're missing out on the second two-hander, right?
The edge of the tree. This is a really interesting keystone with a massive trade-off. You can no longer make use of the dodge roll, but your stun threshold is doubled. Now, from everything we know about POE2's endgame bosses, the dodge roll is going to be an extremely important factor in staying alive. But this keystone seems to suggest that it may be possible to tank some of those very dangerous abilities given the correct setup.
You also have movement skills, right?
Stun threshold is based on a character's maximum life, so this keystone naturally pairs well with a character that is investing a lot into life scaling, such as one using the aforementioned Giant's Blood keystone. We're also not sure just yet how difficult it will be to invest into defense against stuns. We don't know if stun immunity will even exist.
Very important. First of all, I don't think stun immunity can exist because then you would be able to just always active block and just have no downside to getting your stagger all the way up. My bigger question is, does stun threshold dictate how long you can active block? That's so important, and I just can't find a good answer to that because in my mind, I keep daydreaming about this build where I can both active block and use Jade form to block damage that's coming at me. And if stun threshold increases how long you can block for actively, you need to invest heavily into it. And then Unwavering Stance might be insane. But yeah, we just don't know yet.
Bulwark's location is exactly opposite Unwavering Stance, which is fitting considering it also modifies the dodge roll, but these two keystones can't be used together. Instead of disabling the dodge roll, Bulwark makes it so that you lose your avoidance frames at the beginning of the dodge roll and you'll no longer avoid those incoming projectiles or strikes. In return, you'll take 30% less damage while dodge rolling. Okay, this one actually seems to be very good for a few reasons.
Like, so AoE can still be hits, right?
One is the location on the tree. Many builds here will have good life scaling and decent recovery, which pairs well with consistent mitigation. But something really important to mention about Bulwark is that the 30% less damage from hits should be present for the full duration of the dodge roll, not just the avoidance part of the roll towards the beginning. Add to that the fact that this keystone makes it so that your dodge...
So there are websites that have some of the keystones, but a lot of it is missing. The full tree is not out yet, so it'll take time to get there.
Roll can now be used to help mitigate the damage of any incoming area of effect hits that previously couldn't be avoided with a dodge roll, and I can actually see this keystone being picked up quite a bit. Iron Reflexes is unchanged from POE1 and finds itself in a very similar place on the passive skill tree as well. This one converts all of your evasion rating into armor, preventing you from evading but improving mitigation against physical hits. However, there is something important to mention here about conversion in POE2.
Yeah, conversion sucks in POE2. So anything you get like 40% more evasion rating, it's not going to affect your armor. It's not going to get calculated into it.
We know that damage conversion will work differently, in that it will no longer remember its origin types and therefore will only scale with modifiers that affect the end type. One would assume that the same conversion system would exist across all mechanics in the game, and that would mean that the portion of armor you gain from converted evasion wouldn't scale from any increased evasion modifiers, and would instead only be affected by modifiers that would affect armor.
Do we know that the modifiers that affect armor actually affect the converted evasion or not? Do we know if that's the case? I wonder if that's how it works.
Glancing Blows has moved all the way to the lowest...
Then does the same thing happen for Eldritch Battery, where mana modifiers will modify the energy shield you get converted to mana?
Side of the tree and has been restored to its original pre-nerf state. Block chance is doubled, but you take 50% of damage from blocked hits. By default, a blocked hit does no damage, but this keystone will help in being able to more consistently block.
This is really good. If you can pair that with like Aegis, that means you don't have to go for a lot of block nodes on the tree, and you can just have maximum block. This is, I mean, in PoE1 it's 65%, so this is a really, really big buff to it.
Incoming hits thanks to having a higher block chance, at the cost of now taking half of the damage from those hits. But there's something important to be mentioned with Glancing Blows, and that's the new active block mechanic in PoE2.
True.
If you're using active block, you probably don't want to use Glancing Blows, because this keystone will make you take 50% of the damage of incoming hits, even though you already have 100% chance to block hits from the front during the Raise Shield animation. With that said, however, Glancing Blows is still a great keystone to boost passive block gained from your shield or other stats. And keep in mind that a blocked hit also prevents any on-hit effects such as ailment application, even if that hit deals damage due to Glancing Blows. The true power of Glancing Blows, though, has always been when it's combined with recovery on block. So we'll have to wait and see if those kinds of modifiers exist in PoE2.
Well, we know they do. You saw Aegis, right?
Next up, we have Oasis, which finds itself in the middle of the Strength, Dex, and Dexterity starting areas. This keystone prevents the use of charms, but grants more recovery from flasks. Now, charms are a new equipment slot which functions in a very similar way to flasks.
You know when this would be good? If you're using like a very unique belt that doesn't give you charm slots. So from what we know, at least what I understand, you get slots to put charms on your belt mods. But there's certainly certain unique belts that might not even have that. And if that is the case, you can probably pick this up and take that downside away from it. So, like, imagine the equivalent of Mage Blood doesn't let you use charms. Well, you just pick up this keystone, you get more recovery.
Using charges to automatically activate on a certain condition, such as taking cold damage. Importantly, charms can also be used to help solve ailments like...
Then again, Mage Blood is not going to be a thing, but you know what I mean, like Headhunter, let's say.
Like bleeding or freeze, activating upon receiving the ailment to immediately remove that ailment. This keystone prevents their use entirely, and I'm not convinced that the upside is strong enough to justify it. One consideration here may be mana flasks, as we know that Mind Over Matter has a lot of potential, but the location on the tree for Oasis doesn't lend itself well in a Mind Over Matter build. Vile Pact finds itself moved towards the left side of the bottom of the tree, and it now makes all Life Leech instant but prevents the use of Life Flasks. We know that Leech is being simplified in POE2 to always leech a percentage of damage dealt, whilst the limiting factor will now be how much leech resistance a monster has.
Yep.
Instant Life Leech will still be a very strong modifier to have, but the trade-off here is that you need to kind of always be dealing damage in order to recover that life.
You also can't like what is it called, overleaching or whatever, which is a really big downside. So like, let's say you have 90% HP and your hit leeches for 30% of your HP. That 20% is gone. Whereas if you have like overleech and it wasn't instant, it would still be lingering. So any damage you take over, it'll be healing over time. So you got to be hitting all the time. You can't stop attacking or you stop healing.
As you won't be able to use your Life Flask in situations where you're required to stop attacking and move out of the way. One notable change from POE1's version of this keystone is that life regeneration is still in play for the character. So it's possible that you could forego the Life Flask entirely and just focus on Life Leech and life regeneration as your sources of recovery. Elemental Equilibrium is similar to POE1's version, but instead requires a specific damage type to then inflict the correct exposure. If you deal fire damage, you'll remove fire exposure and inflict lightning exposure. Cold damage will remove cold exposure and inflict fire exposure, while lightning damage removes lightning exposure and inflicts cold exposure.
Yeah, that's what we're seeing, Zep. It seems like slots are 1 life, 1 mana, correct? Although I have been told by somebody that there's a unique item that can like let you like run 2 life flasks, etc. So we don't really know. At least I don't know. So what happens if you have all 3? What happens if your hits deal fire, cold, and lightning in the same time? Then what?
An important note here is that it looks like this keystone will no longer provide a larger exposure than other standard applications, and it will likely inflict a 10% exposure as long as that remains the default exposure applied by non-specified sources.
So some people say it applies all 3. Are we sure about that though? Because it depends whether these things happen in steps or simultaneously, but it's hard to say.
This keystone will be very strong if you're able to inflict ignites with cold damage, if something like the Elementalist exists in POE2. Heartstopper has moved to the middle between the Dex and Dex int start locations, and it's been changed quite significantly. It now lessens damage over time taken by 75% if you've started taking damage over time in the past second, but makes it so that you take 50% more damage over time if you haven't started taking damage over time in the past second. The use of this keystone will reward fast response times to moving out of damaging areas or cleansing damaging ailments, to ensure that you're never taking damage over time for longer than a second, preventing the downside modifier from proccing. Remember that this keystone doesn't track each damage over time instant separately, and instead just checks if you're taking any sources of damage over time. For example, let's say you get inflicted by a bleed which barely deals any damage to you but lingers on you for a long while.
Yeah.
If you step into a damage over time ground effect and the bleed has been on you for longer than a second, that means you're no longer considered to have started taking damage over time in the past second, and you now have the downside modifier active on you, and you'll be taking 50% more damage over time from all sources, including both the bleed and the ground door. The upside of this keystone is incredibly powerful, but the downside is equally as devastating if you fail to notice a damage over time effect on you, so you need to be very careful when...
How do you clear dots, by the way? It's such a dangerous thing to get. So you would basically, in order to run this in hardcore, I feel like you would need to have a way to go immune to dots. So like, let's say for example, you're fighting a monster that does, I don't know, he burns you, right? Take a levitate. What does Levity do again? You can't take anybody going? Yeah, I'm going hardcore. I don't know about chat.
And using this one. Next is Acrobatics, which also finds itself between the Dex and Dex in starting locations, right on the outside of the tree. Acrobatics changes the type of hits that you can evade, from being just projectiles and strikes, to now also including previously unevadable area of effect hits. But it does so at the cost of causing you to lose half of your evasion rating.
Does Dexterity give you evasion rating, chat? Do we know? I don't remember. In POE1 it does. Because for something like it, if it does, for a Dex stacker, like this would be so strong. You can walk on ground degen for a second.
The downside of this Keystone is absolutely brutal, but its effectiveness really relies on how much evasion a character is reasonably expected to obtain.
Yeah.
This Keystone is likely to be very powerful in boss fight situations where you now have the chance to evade powerful slams, and a lot less powerful in a standard mapping setup, as in those situations, your evade chance will be much lower against far more incoming hits. Eternal Youth finds itself moved all the way across the other side of the passive tree, in the middle of the Dex Int aligned portion of the tree.
This is interesting, because what it can do is it basically, it allows you to play flasks for energy shield, right? That's pretty strong.
This one makes recharge from the energy shield mechanic apply to life instead, while making life flasks recover energy shield instead. Now this can be quite a powerful keystone if the mechanics of life recharge function as they do in POE1. Taking damage to energy shield while Eternal Youth is...
So for example, there's a lot of nodes that make your life recharge worse, right? There's a lot of them. And if you get to the point where you don't want to invest in life recharge, you can just go for life flasks on energy shield and just forget about the recharge entirely. That's pretty cool. On the other hand, you could theoretically recharge your life at the cost of not being able to use life flasks. Which is kind of weird, but okay.
Allocated in POE1 will not stop or prevent life recharge from starting, and if this function still exists in POE2, using your life flask to keep your ES topped off to always buy time for life recharge to begin could be quite strong. However, do keep in mind that Energy Shield's base delay before recharge begins is 4 seconds in POE2, up from 2 seconds in POE1, but you can of course still invest into modifiers to speed this up. Chaos Inoculation finds itself in the same location.
It makes a really good point too. Like if you want to play life recharge instead of so life recharge basically means with no sips of a flask, you always have full life as long as you can avoid taking damage for a while, right? You always have full life. You don't need to like worry about running out of flask charges. That can be very strong, but the problem is you have to not take damage for a certain amount of time in order for it to start regenning, right? To start recharging. So what you would do is you would use flasks to top out your energy shield, which would be the buffer, in order to give your life time to not take damage. Because if you're taking damage to energy shield, you don't necessarily, you might be able to still recharge life because you've not taken any life damage. I don't know if it works that way or not.
In POE2 as it was in POE1, and it also does exactly the same thing.
So strong.
Your maximum life becomes 1 and you're immune to chaos damage. In POE2, a hit that would cause bleeding must deal damage to life to inflict that ailment, which means a character using Chaos Inoculation is effectively immune to bleeding. Chaos damage also removes twice as much energy shield by default instead of bypassing it in POE2, but CI makes you immune to this damage type, completely negating that downside. At the same time, Poison bypasses energy shield by default in POE2, but since Poison deals chaos damage, that also won't be an issue for a character using CI. Depending on what gear is accessible and if there's any powerful ascendancies that lend themselves well to making use of CI, such as the POE1's Trickster, this keystone has a lot of potential to be really strong.
I'm telling you, chat, mind over matter, CI. It's going to be so sick.
Resonance is located close by and changes the types of charges you gain by changing one out for another. Power charges are gained instead of frenzy charges, frenzies instead of endurance charges, and endurance charges instead of power charges. This one will be one of those keystones which immediately enables a build or two in allowing you to gain a type of charge and spend that charge in a build that previously had a hard time in doing so.
Am I the only one who really doesn't like the fact that charges no longer give you passive benefits? Because I really enjoyed having like 6 to 8 endurance charges on my character. It felt so good. I'd be walking with my Juggernaut, 8 endurance charges, feeling like a giga tank because of all the reduction to damage it gives me, all the mitigation. It's kind of sad now it's only used as like a resource to cast spells.
Keep in mind that charges in POE2 do not grant any inherent stats and are used exclusively to empower ability usage. Speaking of charges, Conduit is located in the middle of the Int and Dex Int starting locations and makes any charges you gain be gained by allies in your presence instead. Because charges no longer grant stats, this one is unlikely to be useful for any minion builds and is instead targeted at group play, allowing for a character to generate charges for their party members to quickly spend on powerful abilities. Eldritch Battery is in a very similar place to its location in PoE1, but its modifiers are massively changed. This keystone will now convert all of your energy shield into mana. That is wild. We know that in PoE2, mana is going to be much more of an interesting mechanic on the average build, as all characters will have access to their full mana pool to make use of unless they're using blood magic. Eldritch Battery is going to be a way for characters to gain incredible amounts of mana, which will be particularly useful with Mind Over Matter, which now makes 100% of damage be taken from mana before life.
Can you really, though? Can you really get massive mana off of this? I mean, yeah, you can, I guess. But you can't get any of the energy shield modifiers on the tree in order to do so. It's just the flat energy shield that's going to be good.
There's potential here for a character to use this keystone together with Chaos Inoculation and Mind Over Matter and completely focus on building a giant mana pool and having a large amount of mana sustain.
Yeah, that's what I would do.
As mana then becomes their only hit pool. However, just like with Iron Reflexes, it's important to mention the change to conversion. If non-damage conversion follows the same formula as damage conversion, the portion of energy shield converted to mana will not scale with any modifiers to energy shield, and will instead only scale with modifiers that would affect mana. Whispers of Doom now moves more...
One thing he didn't talk about... Let me see if I can find it really quick. So... Which one was it? I don't remember what it was. There was a mechanic I was talking about in previous streams. Was it one of the ascendancies? Oh yeah. I was looking at. Let me find it. So you can do that combo of CI plus Eldritch plus Mind Over Matter, and guarantee to never take life or energy shield loss to damage, right? So that means you will never reserve darkness, which means you will always get the benefit of having fully unreserved darkness, which means you'll always have this at full power, right? So grant 1% of damage as extra chaos damage per 20 unreserved darkness. You only get reserved darkness by losing life or energy shield. If you have 1 life and you have 0 energy shield and you have Mind Over Matter, by definition, you can't lose life or energy shield, which means by definition, you will always have full benefit. So it's a pretty big damage boost, but it does cost 2 skill points, and you do lose all spirits. So I really don't know why this would be strong. What makes this strong? I don't know, man. Why would... Is that worth losing all of your spirit and 2 ascendancy points? Because again, like if you're level, you start off with base 100, and let's say you're level 90. So if you're level 90, that's 450 darkness, 550. Divided by 20 is 275. 27. So that's a 27 damage multiplier, 27% damage multiplier. Is 27% more damage worth 2 ascendancy points and losing all spirit? What do you guys think? 27% more damage. And a little bit tankier. You have 450 HP more. Actually, you actually don't get tankier because with CI you would die. Metagems do require spirit, yes. Yes. Yeah, I feel like it's not worth it. I might be missing something though. We still haven't seen all the nodes, right? Maybe there's something more to do with darkness. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And how many is it per ascension? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we're missing 3 more. If there's like one more Apocalypse Shayula that interacts with darkness, maybe it can be strong. We'll have to wait and see.
Towards the top middle of the tree and is now a keystone, providing the additional curse but doubling the standard curse activation delay. We know that curses in POE2 will have an activation delay after they've been cast before they take effect. This keystone is very strong if you're able to apply curses using another method, such as with Blasphemy or Hand of Chayula to fully bypass the downside. Necromantic Talisman is essentially the same as Necromantic...
Or global defense stat, maybe they affect it. Yeah, if you're able to scale darkness somehow, like if you can get more darkness, if there's something that multiplies how much darkness you have. But that would not be on the skill tree. That would be an ascendancy, right? Like if there's an ascendancy that gives you a multiplier to your darkness, that could be insane. But then it requires 3 ascendancy points. But if you can somehow, like, if there's something that says like all increases to armor instead apply to darkness at a certain percentage, right? Something like that could be insane. That could be nutty. Because then you can, like, you have like a double damage multiplier. And we already know Mind Over Matter has a lot of damage, so doubling that down could be even more crazy. We'll see.
Aegis from POE1. Only it makes your amulet apply to your minions instead of your shield.
We've talked about this. There's some really cool things I think you could do with this.
We don't know too much about amulet modifiers in POE2 or whether there are any interesting unique amulets to pair with this keystone. But the loss of the amulet slot in the context of POE1 is quite significant in terms of scaling minion damage. So we'll need to wait and see what's available for this keystone.
I got some cool ideas for that, so here's something I was cooking up in my head. Check this out. So first of all, we know for a fact that in the skill tree, we don't have any good ways to get percent HP, right? Correct, chat? There's no way to, like, there's no 10% more maximum health, right? That doesn't really exist. It's very few and limited. And because of that, we will have more flat HP. Am I right here? Like, you're not going to find little circles all of percent HP on the passive skill tree. And they're kind of helping us by giving us instead a lot of flat. Something, though, to consider is that's not true for minions. So minions actually have ridiculous maximum life multipliers. 50% more maximum life, right? There's more than one way to scale minions' maximum life, and they can get very high percentage-based scaling. So with that in mind, we can give minions an amulet that has, number 1, a really big flat HP, which also gets multiplied by all of this, by the way. Number 2, we can give minions a really big high strength roll, which technically probably should scale their HP flatly a lot as well. And we can give it an anoint that helps it as well. Like we can do a lot to really scale minions very hard in terms of HP. And then what you go for is... Where's my friend? Then you go for... Where's my friend? No, it's a support, actually. Oops. Infernal Legion. Minions from supported skills take 20% of their maximum life as fire damage per second, and they deal 5% of their max life of fire damage per second to nearby enemies. Thank you, Fluffy.
47 months full of joy and long hair.
A 108 from 2 years. Thanks, friend. Thank you so much for the support. I do appreciate that a lot. Thank you, man. So yeah, that's I think you could have Righteous Fire minions actually work. And theoretically, you can scale this insanely, right? You can scale this by a lot with the amulet. It can help it hit for... So you also have, for example, minions explode, dealing 15% of their max life as fire damage to surrounding enemies. That's also really strong. So that's a finisher. You could put support on... Let's see here. Let's see. +1 to support. +1 is going to give more HP for sure. You can give minions for supported skills deal less damage. It doesn't matter because they have 50% more HP. That's a scaler. You have die 4 seconds after the life is reduced to 0. You can extend duration. You can, if you want to make them blow up, they can just deal more damage but take more. It doesn't really matter. We've got so many options. Max res, sure, to make the fire damage last longer. Like, there's a build here that you can either go RF minions and just burn forever, or you go Explodey Boy minions with RF, and you more focus on the 15% explosion, and you just scale that explosion as hard as possible, and RF is one of the ways they're going to die quickly, right? So you would scale max HP really hard. You would make sure that they don't have very high resists, but instead, you would put things like minions for supported skills take more damage, and they deal more damage, right? Anyway, it's there's a lot of cool stuff you can do. There's a lot of cool stuff you can do. And I think the amulet is probably one of the ways you can cook it, because it gives you so many good options. Like, just think of all the anoints you could theoretically throw into a minion. There's a lot of anoints that might be very useful for that. Like, aren't there really good anoints that like scale elemental damage by a lot? We can look for them, but where do we see the passive skill tree? How do we find passives? There's no list of passives anywhere, is there? In POE database? I don't know. I like what you're cooking. It reminds me of exploding Moto minions from Torchlight Infinite. But yeah. So I think you got to be very careful to like disregard this node. It could be very strong. Again, I'm not going for minion builds, but if I die like once, twice, 3 times and I find the totems suck, I have other builds in mind that I want to try.
Ancestral Bond will completely remove the totem limit and make the only restricting factor for placing totems the amount of spirit you're able to acquire. Each totem place will reserve 100 spirit while it's active, which is around the same amount of base spirit that an automated metagem will reserve. We don't really know much about totems other than the few attack totems we've seen.
By the way, we don't know what this does. There's an entire totem tree here that we're not aware of. We don't know what this totem tree does for us. I just noticed it. Yo, we should actually look at the passives here. What does it look like? So we have one totem branch here. Are there any ones nearby? Are there any more totem? One of these has to be totem, right? On the outskirts, I feel like. So this is bow, shield, flail, mace, whatever. Maybe there's not. Fire, mace. Yeah, I don't really see much totem support on the outside at all. So we know totems are also... Where's the other totem one? Somewhere around here. Here, we know this is totems. So totems and totems. That's 1, 2, 3 notables for totems at the moment. If we're starting here, this one actually kind of sucks as well. So if this one's bad, we might have to even ignore this one here and just go straight for this. Yeah, I'm really not sold what I'm going to do with totems yet. I need way more information.
The interesting thing about the attack totems we've seen so far, both Shockwave Totem...
Yeah, I've seen that website. I have seen it. It's actually really, really useful. You can hover over stuff, but these are not discovered yet, unfortunately. So hide and highlight. This energy shield, faster. So yeah, this one, it just kind of sucks. Increased damage while you have a totem. Increased cast speed per summon totem. So, like, let's say you have 5 totems down from my boy Ancestral Bonds. 10% increased attack speed. It's okay, I guess. And 25, because the 25% is not a multiplier. It's just plus, right? It's just plus. I feel like it's not that good. Like, I wouldn't go out of my way to pick this up. Now, these nodes might be good. This might be good. Who knows? But it doesn't even say your totems have increased damage. It just means that dropping down a totem is just useful. I'm not sold. Though then again, something to consider as well is, how do you scale? So, let me find this guy. Where's he at? How do you scale this guy? Ancestral Spirits, right? So this guy does base damage, I'm guessing. These guys are just damage dealers. This might be a multiplier for these guys. So if you go for an Ancestral Spirit build that has Ancestral Spirits doing the damage itself, those guys might not be scalable in many ways. And then maybe this is how you do it. Because it says increased damage while you have a totem. I don't know. I have no idea. Maybe they get the increased damage. Who knows? What is this, by the way? Block? Defensive? Yeah, chance to block. 2 mana while you block. Defense is stun. Increased effective auras from your skills. I mean, that's an aura for my skills, sort of. Yeah. I don't know. I need more info.
And Ancestral Warrior Totem is that they both have their own base damage rather than using your weapon.
That's a big deal.
Which means you could theoretically use a one-handed mace and a scepter in your offhand for spirit gain to help enable this keystone.
Wait, you can use mace and scepter together? Am I crazy? Since when can you mix and match weapons? 200 Mason Scepter. Wait, could you do Mason Scepter in POE1? You can't. It's either 2 Scepters or 2 Maces. You can't mix and match weapon types in POE1. You can? Since when? Am I absolutely insane? I've never tried, but I know you can't go, like, not ranged and melee. No, wait. Since always? Wand and Scepter? Wait, so have I been playing POE1 wrong my entire life? I have like 2,000 hours in POE1, and my entire life I never knew you could mix and match weapon types because I tried it before, and I guess, oh my god, there's no way. There's no way. I don't believe it. You're all lying to me. I'm being lied to.
I'm being gaslit by chat. All right.
Mind over matter is pretty much located exactly where it was in POE1, but it now makes all damage be taken from mana before life, essentially making your mana pool your primary focus for scaling EHP. The downside of 50% less mana recovery is very significant, however, as this affects all forms of recovery over time, including regeneration, leech, and mana flask usage.
But what about instant leech?
Unless it's instant.
That's right.
This new version of Mind Over Matter unlocks some synergy with the new Eldritch Battery and with Chaos Inoculation, a combo which previously didn't function together. Zealot's Oath also has significant changes. This keystone now makes excess life recovery from regeneration apply to Energy Shield, whilst preventing Energy Shield from recharging.
I don't like it.
What exactly is excess life recovery from regeneration? Well, this is likely to mean any time your life is full, your life regeneration is instead put to work to recover your Energy Shield.
Or if you have like Chaos Inoculation.
This is quite a powerful keystone for builds which have some Energy Shield but are also consistently in the thick of battle, such as a melee warrior who's unlikely to be buying enough time for their Energy Shield recharge to begin naturally. However,
like for example, if you have 8k HP and 1k Energy Shield, this is essentially just having 1k more HP, right?
But it's important to note that the actual amount of life recovery is applied to Energy Shield, not the modifiers themselves. Meaning, percentage-based life regeneration modifiers will still scale from your life, making this keystone considerably weaker in combination with Chaos Inoculation, outside of the use of flat regen modifiers. It also has significant synergy with the new Eternal Youth, as the downside of Zealot's Oath specifically prevents Energy Shield from recharging, but Eternal Youth makes life recharge instead, bypassing this downside. Lastly, Pain Attunement has moved far from the top right area to the outside of the Strength Int aligned area. Its modifiers are also massively changed. It now makes characters have 30% more critical damage bonus while on low life, but a 30% less critical damage bonus while on full life.
Now we know for a fact that we can reserve life. We know that's a fact, so keep that in mind.
We're not sure yet if abilities such as Petrified Blood will exist in POE2, so the usefulness of this keystone will rely on mechanics that can force a character to be on low life, or to be considered to be on low life.
Now we know for a fact that we do have ways to reserve life.
To activate this upside. And there you have it. Every keystone in Path...
Bro, these bosses are so badass.
Or to be considered to be on low life to activate this upside. And there you have it.
Bro, I want to fight this guy. Look at him. Oh my goodness. Yo, this game is going to be so lit.
Keystone in Path of Exile 2's early access build of the game. There's some really interesting ones in there and some big changes from POE 1 as well. Thanks for watching this video, and as always, stay tuned and stay safe.
Very, very good. Right. Here's a bit for you guys. Good stuff. Didn't really see anything new, but still pretty good stuff. Low life builds login. Yeah, there's definitely going to be low life builds. It's 30% of life, not 50. One of the Infernal Flame keynotes says, while you are not at low life Infernal Flame. Summary. Get wrecked. What else do we have? Can I not have to watch videos from internet nobodies to get information about the game I put hundreds of dollars in? What? Why don't you just not watch the video then? What's wrong with you? He's complaining about having to watch the video. You don't have to watch it then. Just the center of each node cluster should have a description of all the nodes. Well, it kind of does. So like, you'll pick it up pretty fast. Like, I know for a fact this is a shield node. How do I know that? Well, it looks like a shield. Armor when you block. Armor. Wait. Okay, so this is armor. This is not shield. Sorry. Shield would be
No, so now I know this is armor. So I'm guessing then this is armor as well. Nope, I'm wrong again. Anyway, I haven't figured it out yet, but eventually, wait, is this a totem? No, it's not. That's life. See, that's life because it's a heart shape, okay? All right. What else do we have? What are some good examples? That's a mace. That's a hammer. Look, heavy stun. Enemies with maces. There it is. This has to be a shield. What the hell? So yeah, on block. This is block. It has block nodes. What would this be, chat? What does this look like to you? Before we click it. What would this be, technically speaking? It looks like a really skinny man, but a person? Yeah, it looks like a person. I feel like this will be a bow. Minions. Okay, you were right. It's actually a person. So then this is minions too. Oh, this is lightning. Okay, all right. What are these? Damage, fire res, cold res, lightning, or whatever. Okay, sure. The Trinity. This is 100% block. So you have a bit of an idea. But keep in mind, this search bar will be in the game as well. So like if I want to go minions, I just click minion, right? And it shows me all the minion stuff, right? This will be in game. If you want to find stuff with minions, that's all you got to do. And it'll do exactly this. The game launch? No. 6 days. Dude, we're so close. 6 days to go. All right. Let's have a look. Anything new over here? I see lips with a tongue out. MTX preview confirmed for POE2. They reworked the MTX shop and we'll be able to... Chat, type 1 if you want to watch the interview. I keep seeing this Korean interview. Oh wait, never mind. We don't have to watch it. Holy crap, 2 hours resumed in one thing. This is insane. I'm just going to upvote immediately. What a giga chat. All right, let's have a look. What do we have here? Transition from Diablo-like to Exile-like. Jonathan likes to take ideas from other games and expect other devs to do the same, part of the creative process. Sure. POE2 feels 90% of the way to being Jonathan's ideal ARPG in terms of gameplay feel. I've never really heard Jonathan's take, though. I haven't listened to Jonathan much. I've listened to Chris Wilson from Grinding Gear Games. I know Chris Wilson's idea of ideal ARPG. I don't know what Jonathan's ideal is. Do we have info on that? Like, what has Jonathan talked in the past of what the ideal ARPG is? Can you share skill tree link? You got it, my friend. Here you go. All right. There will be some amount of sharing between POE2 and POE1. King's March is a good example. Games are too different to easily port one thing to another gameplay-wise. Mirror of Kalandra is confirmed returning. Oh, baby. I've never had a mirror drop. I've never even had a mirror shard drop. All of the uniques from Pinnacle endgame content should be chase items. The players want to do the content. True. That's a good point. Unique items can do more interesting things in POE2 because of all the new design space with skills. Love to hear it. I love unique uniques. Said that POE is the true successor to D2. When they had Blizzard North on stage last year. I know a Chris Wilson, probably not the same guy. Probably not. Jonathan never found a mirror except when cheating using dev tools to kill monsters. EA content updates every few months, but the devs will be taking a break over Christmas. EA, minimum of 6 months, no more than a year. All the classes and sentences will be in EA at some point and will be fully tested by the player base before 1.0 launch. So we're going to get new classes slowly but surely. I love to hear that. Simplified crafting will be expanded over time, but Jonathan wants the baseline of crafting to be easier and more accessible through more currency drops. POE1 has over 10 years of expansion and has a lot of crafting bloat and overlap with all the different systems in the game. I 100% agree. I have done quite a bit of crafting, but there are people who are absolute crafting gods, and the strategies they come up with to craft certain items are so 17 head that I could spend another 5,000 hours in the game. I'd never learned those strategies. Like, the stuff people come up with for crafting is insane. But yeah, crafting is hard to learn because there's just so many ways to do it. I like the fact that we're starting from scratch. That's awesome. POE2 will be getting a more sequel version of POE1 leagues. Wait, we'll be getting more sequel versions, and updated versions of their crafting systems will be added along with them. Okay. As long as they're like sequel versions and not exactly the same. Devs interested in adding interesting features, even if it ends up in a content bloat over the... Wait, devs are interested in adding interesting features, even if it ends up in a content bloat over the next 10 years. I mean, of course, every game will get content bloat if you make a new league every 3 to 4 months, right? That's bound to happen. That doesn't mean that's necessarily a bad thing. There's just like that's the game's life, right? Over time, it will get bloat. And in 10 years, we can do POE3. I think like trying to avoid that from happening over a 10-year period is silly. You just like limit yourself to what you can do, to cool leagues you can make. If it happens, it happens. Eldritch crafting is coming, I have no idea. Case-by-case improvements for individual skills with controllers. Some disagreement internally about how different skills should work with controllers in terms of automatic targeting. Yeah. I'm just going to put it plainly. In my opinion, you should not give consoles any innate advantages that PC users can't have. Like, nothing should be exclusive to console. Because if I play on a PC and a controller feels better, I can just buy a controller, right? That's fine. Make controller feel as good as it possibly can, but don't give like... I hate games that give like auto aim to like the Xbox version, or as like aim assist, yeah. Whereas you can't have that on PC version. I think that's just... It rubs me the wrong way. Especially if the leagues are combined like they're going to be in POE2. So, yeah. Skills have video guides built in, but they don't want to do more than that, and especially not for the passive tree or entire builds because it hampers player creativity. I like this. I know there are games where, like, for example, what is the new Valve game coming out? What is it called? Deadlock. You can literally click builds, and you can see all the community builds for Deadlock right away. And that kind of, like, making it that easy to access kind of kills people's want to try new things because they're all right there. Like, person starts the game, they see their first choice in skills. They're like, well, do I just pick the skill that looks cool, or do I go on YouTube, investigate on Reddit, blah, 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 blah? Nah, I'll figure it out. If you have it right next to it, like, oh, and by the way, these are the recommended starting builds, it kind of kills the fun. Because you're going to click it if you're not a full-on tryhard, right? And I love that. I think that's a very good idea. Game guides would quickly become out of date. That's true as well. Important to more clearly show information to player as the choices they can make, but don't want to hold their hands. Smart. All POE1 cosmetics will work in POE2 1.0 launch, but not all work on EA release. You know, I'm of the opinion they didn't have to do this. I know a lot of people have a lot of cosmetics in POE1, but I would have been absolutely fine if they said no cosmetics carryover. It's a new game. It's really cool that they did it. It's really cool that they did it. Good for them. Very consumer friendly, but I didn't think it's necessary. If they said nothing is carrying over, I'd be absolutely fine. Shape-shifting forms like the demon and bear may have cosmetics in the future. If you transform, you can't see equipped armor cosmetics. Interesting. Generally speaking, they don't want to do mid-season updates to league content. They found in POE1 that it doesn't bring back players, so they focus on larger content updates. True as well. It's like a waste of dev time. That makes sense. Although they should at least do, like, if something is way out of control, I don't know. It's hard to say. There will be many small updates, but they will be focused on balance. Okay? POE2 has a completely new story. By the way, I don't know if you're going to be watching my stream when I play it, or if you're going to be playing yourselves, or just do both at the same time. I will be taking the game slowly, and I'm going to be reading the story. And I did this when I first played POE1. I read all the lore. I talked to all the characters. I read all the text because I think it's fun. And I want to know the world I am in. Now, I'm not going to go out of my way to read every text in the game, but at least like the main stuff that I run into, I'll read it because I think that's fun. I want to know what's happening in the world. on the first playthrough. After that, you know, we blast. But I think it's fun to approach it almost like an exploration game the first time around. POE2 has a completely new store. Yeah. New store allows you to try on cosmetics before you purchase. Oh, baby. Yo, that's crazy. Try on cosmetics. For me personally, this is more important to try skill cosmetics. How would you do that? Could you test skills in real time just to see how they feel? Maybe. Up to 6-player co-op right from the beginning of Act 1. You can resurrect your teammates, but this stops being possible in endgame. That's broken. The game is balanced with both single player and multiplayer in mind, with there being no advantage to one or the other. Okay. Take notes, devs. This is how it should be. Although I am personally okay with like MMORPGs having a little bit of advantage in group play because you do want to foster group play. But I think this is where Ashes is way too much advantages for group play and zero viability for solo play. So that's pretty cool. I still think like group play should be a little bit better at all times than solo play. Otherwise, decentralizing group play makes your game a single player game by default. End game. Oh, by the way, one more thing. I really hope they do this. I don't know how they would do it, but I really hope they do. When it comes to leagues, I would love for them to officially support like Bro SSF, where you can do 2-man SSF leagues. That would be so fun. I love SSF, but I think it would be so much cooler to be able to play with one other person in your group. That would be sick. You can call up your friend, hey man, this league, let's go hard, group SSF. Oh dude, I found this really cool amulet for your build. Oh, your friend tells you later in the day, dude, I just found a 6-link bow, right? And he's playing maces, so it's like, it's all yours, brother. It's just a really good feel. Now, the problem with that is you have to find a friend who plays similar hours to you, but do they have the same shitty trade system in POE2? I have no idea how trade is going to look. Probably. I have no idea though. They might have the auto buy currency trend, like conversion thing, that because they did test that last league, right? And everybody loved it. And they do have gold, so that could be a thing. Endgame map and bosses only have one attempt. Beautiful. The intent is that only the best of the best are able to challenge the very hardest content, so get good. Perfect. Perfection. Currency trade NPCs in PO2. It's Alva. Fantastic. Jonathan wants actually beating pinnacle content to be very rewarding compared to POE1 where it's fairly easy and the satisfaction of overcoming the challenge is less because of it. Nice. Very nice. Not every build element, melee versus ranged, is balanced against each other. The important thing is that the game gives you a bunch of tools to solve all sorts of problems. An example of this being able to have 6 linked utility skills. I can't wait to try linking up skills with different support gems, man. The fact that everything can be... So, in POE1, one of the massive disadvantages of, like, utility skills is you can only have 2 skills 6 linked. Your two-handed weapon and your chest. And if you ran one-handers, you can only have 1 6 link. So you were, by default, obligated to play... your 6 link being your DPS skill because DPS is king, right? Yo, what's up, Rob? Yeah, we were watching you. We were watching you watching me. Thanks for the kind words and the sub on YouTube. I appreciate that, and thank you for the follow. We're just talking about the Korean interview here. So yeah, being able to 6 link everything is huge. It opens up a lot more creativity because again, you had no choice. You had to 6 link your DPS spell. Unless, of course, you didn't need to. Like, there were a few builds, like Cast on Stun, that really did not need to 6-link the DPS, and then you would just, like, do multiple 3-links. Yo, what's up, Dionysius? Dionysius. Hi, login. Wait, what? All right. Jonathan thinks melee is very strong. That's fun. I love strong melee. You know why I think melee might be really strong? Because of dodge roll. Yo, what's with all the follows? Holy smokes! The massive raid from Rob. What's up, brother? Thank you for the big raid. Super appreciate it. Thank you very, very much. Great video, W. Thank you, man. Thank you so much. I used to I used to watch your Diablo 4 videos, but I was more of a what is it called? I didn't play warrior. I played what's the class called? The ranger class, the one with poisons. I forget that. I used to play that class in D4. Rogue, yes, I used to play rogue, and I would just play like stack like 15 traps and just like melt bosses with poison. But I got sick of D4 pretty quickly. For me, D4 was amazing all the way until the end of the campaign. And then campaign is over, it's like, well, now what? I gotta grind to 100? Why? For what purpose? Though possibly they made the game better in the latest expansion, I just didn't play them. You remind me of Terry Silver from Karate Kid. I'll take it. But yeah, I much prefer Path of Exile 2. Though I will say, and a lot of people complain about D4, I think I got my money's worth just from the campaign. I think the campaign was amazing. I think D4 had such a good leveling experience, and then the end game was absolute trash. But just for the story, I got my money's worth. I enjoyed it massively. So D4 got improvement a lot, but yeah, end game is still an issue. Yeah. Also, it's probably controversial, but like whenever they did new like seasons in D4, I felt like everybody skips the campaign because it's more efficient to just level by grinding, but I kind of like PoE's approach of repeating the campaign. Though I find maybe D4's campaign is a little bit too long to do it that way, but I like that Path of Exile forces you to play the campaign over and over again on every new character. It's very, once you figure the campaign out and you know where to go and you get the rhythm of it, it's almost therapeutic. You just go through the movement. I find it's more fun to do a campaign than it is just to mindlessly grind to level 80 and then equip yourself and do endgame. We can't skip campaign. I don't think so. No, in PoE1 you can't. Now, this is probably a bit of a controversial take, but I don't like skipping campaign. You don't want therapy from PoE? D4 campaign had too much yapping and waiting. Yeah, that could be the case. It probably wasn't designed to be replayed. But PoE campaign replaying, it feels good. And once you get good at it, like you can speedrun it. People are doing campaigns in under 4 hours, right? So you pretty much get it to end game in 4 hours anyway. It's designed to be played that way. Unlike D4, which again, probably wasn't designed to be replayed over and over again. You said about campaign, it's important you don't get stuck in conversations and you can just move on. Yeah. I mean, my first playthrough when POE2 launches, I plan to just read everything. I'm not going to speedrun it, especially because I'm starting hardcore. I'm not going to play softcore, so I'll probably die a few times. And I don't know how hard hardcore is going to be. Like, if I wipe like 20 times and I just can't make it, I'll probably just go to softcore. But I'm going to give hardcore a really good shot. I'm going to really try to just go pure hardcore from the beginning, which is not a smart move. I don't recommend anybody do it. Just for me, I find more pleasure playing hardcore games than softcore games. Yanni, thank you for the 49 months, man. Thanks, brother. I appreciate that. Thank you very, very much. Over 4 years. When can we download POE2? I don't know when you can download it, but you can play it on the 6th. And they already sent out like pre-downloads for Xbox, so probably soon. I really hope the pre-downloads happen now because people can data mine those and we can get more information. Because I'm trying to figure out what hardcore build to go first. And I have so many ideas. I just don't know enough to design a build early on. And there's a lot of things I want to try, but I just don't have the information. For example, I was watching some videos just now. Here's an example. So you guys know you can actively block in POE2, which was not a case in POE1. But active block, so it blocks 100% damage, and you build up like stagger, and once your stagger bar is full, you get stunned. So you don't want to block until you get stunned, because you just might die to the stun. But it's counted as a block. So if you go to the passive skill tree, or actually let's go to the ascendancy classes. Wait, where is it in here? All right, keystones. So my question is, does stun threshold count how long you can actively block? Because if it does, I can see myself investing a lot of stun threshold just to be able to block for a very, very long time. So that's one question. I don't know if I'm going to be able to like extend the duration of active block or not. If I can, I'm probably going to be going for, I think, Warbringer, mainly because he has a secondary like invulnerability spell. Like if those who play like, let's say, World of Warcraft, like it's basically Frost Mage's ice block. Although it has a limit to how much damage it can take, right? So I can play both active block. When that is getting close to getting staggered, I can drop Encased in Jade, and I can have a lot of time where I'm basically immune to damage. And if that is the case, if I can do both those skills, I could go for a totem build where I'm even safer, right? So the playstyle idea would be I drop a lot of totems, and then I just run around like a coward while my totems do the damage. And if I see something I can't dodge, I actively block it. If I can't actively block it, I turn into Jade. And I can shuffle those two active block plus Jade, while at all times I don't have to cast skills, because in any ARPG, you're most vulnerable to dying while you're attacking, because while you're attacking, you're either animation locked or you're not moving. And moving is king in any ARPG because you dodge abilities by moving. So I think totems plus this plus active block could help me out a lot. But that's just one of the builds I'm thinking of doing. On the other hand, I think there's a lot of potential in playing a Acolyte of Chayula, mainly because of Mana Leech's instant, and I can use my mana pool as my main HP bar with Mind Over Matter. Remember, Ancestral Bond got increased to 100. It's a real bummer. It was a lot stronger. But there are other ways to go around it. So for those who don't know, let me go to Keystones here real quick. This is how you get multiple totems, right? This used to be 50 spirit each. And I think I remember them saying like an endgame character can have like 600 plus spirit. That would have been 12 totems. Now it being 100 spirit each, you might only have 5 to 6 totems maximum. I don't know how good that is. We're going to find out. So spirit is also very important, not just for totems. You use meta skills for spirit. So if we go to, let's say, spirit gems. All of these gems, they reserve spirit, right? If I want to use Arctic Armor, I have to reserve 30. And a lot of the better ones, I think, also reserve 100. So like cast on shock or cast on, oh, by the way, there's a gem. So where is it? Cast on channel. Probably under skill gems. All right. Cast while channeling is really cool, and I'm going to tell you why. For those who are not aware, and I'm pretty sure this is the case, this is a channeling skill. Like turning yourself into Jade, I am almost certain is a channeling skill. So I think you hold it down, and while you're holding it, you're encased in Jade, and then you let go, and the Jade drops. Secondly, I'm pretty sure that actively shielding is a channeling skill. That means if I'm doing both of them, I can set up a metagem with cast while channeling, right? That costs 100 spirit. And every few seconds, this is triggering spells while I'm using my defensive channel. So I'm not there like a sitting duck just blocking, doing nothing, nor am I encased in Jade doing nothing. In both cases, I can have one metagem casting either offensive or defensive abilities around me, non-stop, while the channeling is going on, which I think is really cool. For example, let's say I'm playing cast while channeling with active block. Well, what breaks my active block? Getting hit a lot. But maybe I can do something with like ice abilities on cast while channeling that is constantly slowing or freezing the enemies, maybe blinding the enemies, right? So I can inherently make my block way stronger with one of these. But the problem is it costs 100 spirit, and that takes away from how many totems I can run. And if I want to run like more than one meta skill, that's less totems. That doesn't work. Why not? It's a metagem? What do you mean? What doesn't work? You just drop the metagem and it is going to proc whenever you're casting, whenever you're channeling something. They don't go in support slots. Yeah, this is its own slot. Correct. Yeah, I reserve the 100 spirit. I have cast while channeling. that activates whenever I channel a skill, right? And then one of my channel skills is active block. And if I'm active blocking, this is gaining 60 energy per second that I'm active blocking. And then it casts all these spells. I'm not saying it's supporting it. I mean, when I say support, I don't mean it's a support gem. It's just supporting my playstyle of actively blocking or actively becoming Jade. Thanks for the follow there, Mist. So I think that could be really cool. Now, if I want to have a lot of different meta gems, like I want to have, let's say, cast while channeling, I want to have another one that does something else, there is one more way to do totems, possibly. So I heard, although I haven't seen the node, I heard somewhere in the skill tree, there is a node or so, maybe more than one, that can increase your limit to totems, maybe by 1 or whatever. Secondly, we do have a support gem, which also allows you to cast more totems. So you have increased limit, right? Support skills have +1 to limit. And if you look at totem gems, they're limited to 1 totem. So this automatically, as a support skill, gives you +1. So I could see, in theory, having like 3 totems, maybe 4, just via support gems plus whatever's on the passive tree. And then I can have all my spirit for free to reserve other stuff. It said socketed gems. You got to link it? No, you can't link it. No, I think you're misunderstanding. I mean, I'm not sure. I haven't played the game, but... So here's what it says. Cast while channeling gains energy while you channel. That channeling doesn't have to be linked to it. It just says while you are channeling, you gain energy in this cast while channeling meta gem. On reaching maximum energy, trigger all socketed skills. So what I have is, I have my basic block, and then I have this meta gem that is not connected to the block. And this meta gem is connected to, let's say, 3 active gems and maybe some supports. While I'm blocking on one hand, this is gaining energy all on its own. And then once it reaches full energy, it casts all the skills attached to it. You get me? So let's pull up just in case you're not understanding it, maybe you're a visual learner. Let's have a look here. So you have active block. By the way, I'm a great artist. This is your active block, right? You're blocking. While you're blocking, you're actively channeling. This is a channel ability. So let's say you are channeling block. You have another skill gem entirely separate from it, right? That has, I don't know, 1, 2, 3, 4 spells attached to it. And this meta gem has energy. Let's put energy at yellow, I don't know. Anyway, you get my point. While you are channeling, this is filling up with energy. It doesn't need to be connected to it. Because it says you gain energy while you channel. You can channel anything. And then once this gets to full, once this fills up entirely, this gem procs. And when it procs, it activates everything connected to it. You understand? And this can be with any channeling spell. If my build has like 3 or 4 different channeling spells, any one of them can be the activator. So I have, let's say, encased in Jade, right? Let's put it in Jade. That's okay. Let's make a different Jade statue. I don't know, like... All right, we got a Jade dog, chat. We got a Jade dog. And let's say this is your encased in Jade spell. All right? Chat. Stop. All right. We have encased in Jade, which is also a channeling skill, okay? All of these skills are separate from each other. They will all charge up this metagem. And when this reaches full, it will activate. That's all I'm saying. Sounds nice. So, a great thing, by the way, is you can also put support gems inside your block, inside your active Jade skills. So, there's a lot of cool support gems. Like, for example, you can go... What is this? This site sucks. You can do infused channeling. That's a good one. Take less damage. You can go for reduced damage taken. You can go for, if it works like you say, that would be amazing. But normally this would need to be attached to a channeling skill gem. Yeah, but you don't understand. This is POE1, my friend. So you have to read what it does. This is no longer, it doesn't attach to any gem. You understand? It doesn't attach to gems. That's not the case anymore. That's not how POE2 works. It's a metagem. We already know how metagems work. They're their own gems. There are links, but not in armor. You don't have links in armor. Right now what you have is every skill you have available, wherever you get it from, has its own little window where you just attach skill gems to it. Basically, support gems go inside the gems themselves. Now, where you get the skills from differs. But like, for example, have you not seen... let's go for items. Like, for example, here. Grant skill, raise shield. This is a shield, right? It literally grants you this skill. The moment you're granted the skill, what happens is you have a little window where you can socket support gems into that skill. So it goes inside the skill itself. Items have slots, but they're not used for putting gems in them. Those slots are used for putting like buffs in them. It's a bit different how it works. Let me go to a POE database here. You can see examples of items. So for example, let's see. Here's a wand. I'm trying to find some items. Yeah, I can't find them. Meta gems are the skill gems. The link skill is a support skill in POE2. Having the opportunity to also use support gems on skills from an item. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. I'm just trying to find pictures of items. Wait. We've already seen these. Okay, here's a staff, for example. So, let me find the staff real quick. Here it is. Grant skill, level 20 sigil of power, right? That's literally this is what the base item does. The item itself, the base item, it grants you a skill. And this skill, you will equip it with support gems. And you can go up to 5 support gems, right? You understand how it works now? I'm pretty sure I can show you, for example, who was a... You go to Path of Exile here. Let me find it. Path of Exile 2. Find the official channel for it. They have a lot of videos. So here's POE.
Existence is a...
Go to videos. Go to the 1 hour video. There's a lot of footage here.
The mercenary has a job to do, but which job suits you? You might choose to become a witch hunter. Obsessive rituals will give you a source.
Here it is.
Skeletal.
All right. So you literally have a skills bar, right? Literally. And in this skill bar, these are all your skills. You can see that the skill gems themselves are their own thing. And this is where you can put support gems in them. And you can technically have like 10 6 links. Every one of them can go up to 6 links. Now, in order to get more support slots, I think it has to do with like the level of the gem or something like that. I'm not sure exactly what you need to do for more, or if it's defined by the gem itself, but how many skills can you have on your hotbar? I don't know. So I think it's going to also depend on your ascendancy and how you get those skill slots specifically. So let's go to... We know, for example, we have an ascendancy that gives you 3 more skill slots. So ascendancy class, we know that not witch hunter, legionnaire gives you 3 additional skill slots. And like the lore behind it is, I can show you here.
Where's my boy? It's pretty.
The mercenary has a job to do, but what would usually do. You could also choose to become